Welcome to Traction REIA's special online event, November 2022. My time flies. There's a little bit more than a month left in the year. Things always go fast. I almost feel like a broken record saying that, but you know, things go fast. Next thing you know, the whole year has gone by, and what do you know? And here we are. And there's certainly been a lot going on and a lot that we've got to pay attention to. So, gang, I am very excited about tonight's meeting because there's been a lot going on, hasn't there? And it's finally gotten out there, right? The media is finally admitting that there's issues, that it wasn't transitory inflation, it's actually permanent inflation and bad inflation, and things are changing, and the economy is not great, and housing prices are changing, and they're dropping, and they're not moving fast, right? The sky is falling. That's what they always say. You know what I say? Good. Good. That's good for us creative real estate investors, because more opportunities open up now for us than when things are good, right? Everyone says they're good, and then people say, oh, the market's too good, I don't want to jump in. Then some people say, oh, the market's not doing good, I don't want to jump in. Other people say the market's flat, I don't want to jump in. Those people never want to jump in. But gang, whether you are starting to jump in, trying to jump in, want to jump in, or have jumped in a long time ago and are still going, this is the market that we've all been waiting for. Because this is when creativity gets to come out and play and have a good time. This is when creativity gets to come out, have a good time, and make you a lot of money, because motivated sellers will be more motivated than ever, and they will be more flexible than ever, and they will have less other options than ever. It's not going to be easy for them to just list it on the open market and expect 17 offers in the last 5 minutes and sell that thing for way over asking. Because that's what things have been like for the last few years, which in sometimes makes it a little bit difficult for us creative real estate investors. We don't just get to list it and watch it fly because, you know, people are buying houses like crazy. Now, people still need to buy houses. They still need to sell houses. The market still needs to function and exist, because human beings are always changing, right? Everyone's getting older, having kids. Kids are getting older, leaving the house. People are getting ill. They're moving into town. They're moving out of town. They're getting jobs. They're losing jobs. They're going in the program. Everything that creates a market is still happening. What's changing is the options for the person selling the house. They don't have that fast, easy option of just list it and watch it go. Now it's list it and watch it sit. Perfect. That's good for us as creative real estate investors, because we can come in, and once we know how to find those deals and then how to put those deals together. And that is exactly what I've got two awesome gentlemen speaking on tonight. How are you going to find those deals, and how are you going to creatively put offers together to understand where the money comes from? Because when you figure out where the money comes from, you'll figure out how to do deals now in today's market. So let me share a screen and talk to you about a bunch that's going on. Nice to see everyone on Zoom again. I love seeing everyone in person, but you know what? It's kind of, you know, because I'm old fashioned, but it's kind of nice to see everyone on Zoom too. It's kind of the new fashion, but it's nice. We have people here, hey, one way or the other. It's just nice to see you guys. So Traction REIA, DC, Tampa, Sarasota, and online. This would be the online, and we're replacing the DC meeting this month to be totally online. My name is Tom Zeeb. I am the president of Traction REIA. I was a member of this organization for many years before I was asked to take it over and run it as president, and that has been a proud day when that started, and ever since, because it's really nice to teach other people to do what I did, and it's really nice to have the group benefit you like the group benefited me, and that's the ability to get moving in the real estate business and get out of the day job and get moving in the right direction independently on your own. Now look, are you obligated to quit your job? No, but if you want to, you can. Not everyone wants to quit. Not everyone should quit. You know, if you're 2 years away from a pension, it's probably best to stick around. But on the other hand, if you want out, we can get you out. No matter when you want out, you should be planning for that anyway. So that's what Traction REIA likes to do with you, is teach you how to do exactly that. Real quick, because my attorney makes me do it. Since we're talking about making money in real estate investing, I have to give a disclaimer to you that there is no guarantee that you'll make money in real estate investing. You could lose money, but you shouldn't lose money. You should make money. That's the major difference, is learning what the heck you're doing. And that's what we are here for each and every month, teaching you the ins and outs of different ways of real estate investing. You stick with us for a year, you're going to get very cross-trained, and you're going to see all these different techniques, different exit strategies, different ways of finding them, different ways of making a deal, right? Different ways of everything will be perfect for you. And that's going to move you ahead real quick. So that's what we're after with it. Now, look, you found us somehow. You came into our traction world one way or the other. Probably maybe somebody told you about it. Maybe you saw a post on social media. You got an email that you liked and enjoyed. Well, I'll tell you what, go out there and spread the word. Share that with other people, because one of the really great ways for us to keep building the group and be able to help you meet more awesome people is to have awesome people that are already here bring in more awesome people, because birds of a feather flock together. So however you found us, share the emails, give it a thumbs up, tell people about the meetup group, whatever it takes. Just get up there, talk it up on social media, and spread the word. Also, take a quick peek. I don't even have my, oh, here it is. Take a quick peek at your cell phone, turn it off or set it to silent. That way any sort of buzzing or ringing doesn't interfere. I really want to have you focus for the next couple hours, because what you're going to be taught is awesome. And what you're going to be taught could be absolutely life-changing and revolutionary. I don't want that interrupted by yet another phone call. So stay where you are and stay focused in the moment for the moment. It'd be great that way. So find that chat box on your Zoom bar. There's a kind of chat window. Go in there and tell me where you're from. Where are you dialing into, so to speak? How are you connecting on Zoom and where from tonight? Because I know we have a lot of people nationwide. That's one of the cool things about Traction, is we're able to bring the awesomeness that we do in DC and in Tampa and Sarasota. And when we're online, we get to do that nationwide and longer. So I've got some Alexandria, Port St. Lucie, Florida, Jacksonville, Aberdeen, Maryland. Man, it's going so fast. I'm going to have to scroll back here. North Florida, Bristow, Virginia, San Antonio, Texas. We've got more Washington, D.C. in the house, Germantown, Maryland, Longmont, Colorado, welcome. Waldorf, Maryland, Pasadena, California, awesome. Bob's in High Point, North Carolina, welcome. Ashburn, Virginia, Woodbridge, Virginia, Manassas, Virginia, Chantilly, Virginia, Tampa, Florida, Wisconsin, welcome. We got more North Carolina in the house there in Greensboro, Fort Lauderdale, Tysons Corner, Virginia, Beltsville, Maryland, Seattle, Washington, probably the furthest one I've seen so far, welcome, Leonard. Maryland and Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Neff in DC. Oh, wow, here we go. Charlie's down in Honduras. Well, he takes the cake. That's good. Particularly that you speak tonight, Charlie. We really appreciate that. Coming in from Roatan. Totally awesome. Rush, Colorado. Welcome, Chad. Randolph's in Fredericksburg. Man, we got Atlanta, Georgia. We got Northern Virginia. Awesome. And more Maryland, of course. So welcome, everybody. Hopefully I didn't miss you. That's just a big old long list of people. So good. Nice to have people in from everywhere. And I bet you met a lot of great, cool people in the breakout rooms as well. I love the breakout sessions. Kind of call them breakthrough sessions, because a lot of times it's those personal conversations really get people moving and give you the right vector as well. So we love having that happen. So let's see. My podcast, gettractionpodcast.com, 4 solid seasons. In fact, I was just thinking about this yesterday, because my longtime real estate attorney came to visit. She's doing a major road trip as well. And I have a podcast episode I did with her to really walk through how to do things properly, because it was always a pet peeve of hers. And then it kind of became my pet peeve to watch people do things sloppy and not quite right. So there's a great podcast episode. Look for the one with Emily Gumpert, and we talk about the legal aspects of it. It's at gettractionpodcast.com. And in fact, I think you'll love all the other episodes as well. I take a nice, most of the episodes are long form approach. They're conversations. You just listen when you're exercising or walking or riding your bike or in the car, and really let the information sink in. They're just open conversations with people in my circle, so you can understand how to function as a real estate investor. I also have a best-selling book on Amazon. It's called How to Correctly Flip Houses for a Profit. I suppose also amusingly, my attorney, when she was here the other day, she hates the word flip. I said, I know you hate the word flip. And I actually debated using it in the book, because I know how much you hate it, but I don't think it's totally wrong when it's done right. She goes, well, you did say correctly flip, but she wants to see the word correctly even bigger. So you know what? Let's just pretend correctly is bigger, and we'll make Emily happy about that. Nothing wrong with flipping houses as long as you do it correctly. It's like driving. Nothing wrong with driving if you do it right. There are ways of illegally driving, just like there's ways of illegally doing real estate. We don't want you doing any of that. We're not going to teach you any illegal ways. We want you to do it the right way, because that's how you move ahead, help motivated sellers, and make money for yourself and your family. Now, we also have a Traction app. So the podcast, you can stream it through the app. All of the daily writings, daily emails, trainings are on the app. All of our video trainings are on the app. Our entire schedule and everything having to do with traction is on the app. So you can hit that, point your phone at that QR code, whether you're on Android or iPhone, it'll jump you to the install page. So you can install the Traction app and keep up with us. And also, sometimes we put out a lot of special app-only offers with special bonus downloads that are only available to app users. So go ahead and install that app now. You could also go to tractionrea.com/app, APP, and you'll be able to download that as well. So I'm going to bring Carolina over to speak. Rather than be fancy, we're going to do an old-fashioned switcheroo. I'm going to stand up and go that way. She's going to come over and sit down. So welcome, my wife and the VP of Traction REIA, Carolina Zeeb.
Yeah, that was the hardest switch.
The hardest switch ever.
Hello. Hola. Good evening, I should say. Very nice to see all of you. I see a lot of familiar faces, but a lot of new faces. So if you're wondering, is it pronounced Carolina, Carolina, Carolyn, Carol? It's Carolina. I'm from Bogota, Colombia. That's what the accent is from. And I've been involved in real estate since 2003. I came to the States in 2001. And thank God I met the cool gringo that was just talking to you guys. And by the way, the word gringo just means American. That's it. There's no meaning in that. So he introduced me to wholesaling, to real estate, and it changed my life. The American dream was not gonna be successful with a job. So thank God I discovered real estate, creative real estate investing, and here we are now. This is what I do for a living. I do real estate, and also I do all the event planning for Traction REIA in DC, in Florida, and online. So welcome. Do I change this slide here this way? This way? Okay, so let me tell you a bit about Traction, who we are, what we do. Oh, here, no, this is the arrow. This one, no?
No, don't do that.
Okay.
Use that. There you go.
Sponsors, we can do that later, I guess. Or do you want me to bring out sponsors? Okay, I'm gonna talk to you a bit about our partnership with the Home Depot. Because we are the National REIA chapter. On top, that was the slide that I wanted, the National REIA chapter. Let me see. The one with the map? No?
Keep going, you're fine.
We are able to offer you amazing benefits, discounts that as a Traction REIA member, you can start using right away. We're gonna let Charlie talk about Clear Sky in a minute. I don't know if Claude is here, but I will put all their information on the chat, their email, their phone number, and why they are part of Traction, why they are sponsors of Traction. I always like to take a moment to thank our staff, ambassadors, and volunteers, both in the DC region and in Florida. We appreciate everything that you guys do, including Crystal and Dwayne in DC, and then Ginny and Mark in Florida. This is one of my favorite photos. We are a family. This is the Traction family. That's Dwayne and Crystal in one of our picnics. And I love this photo. It reminds me how amazing this Traction community is. That's Ginny, Mark, and Samantha in Florida. That was in our Christmas party last year. That's the slide. Thank you. Okay, so National REIA is a very big association that protects and helps investors around the US. They also monitor what we say, what we do, what we teach, the practices that we do. So we are the proud chapter for the DC area that includes Northern Virginia and Southern Maryland, and also in the Florida area we cover all the way Tampa, Sarasota, St. Pete, Clearwater. So we're really, really proud to be a chapter, the official chapter. This is kind of the stamp of credibility that you need for the ones that maybe are new to us, because we are backed up by the National Real Estate Investors Association. This year, June, we're still in 2022. We received the Award of Excellence. This is, again, personal motivation for me to continue to provide excellent education, networking opportunities, support, and a lot of love to all our members. So this was the award that we got. And then in the past, 10, 11 years or even more, we have been the proud recipients of several awards. And I always like to share these photos because it's just a motivation to continue this amazing family traction and everything that we bring, local speakers, national speakers, different topics, to keep you up on your real estate business. Home Depot, as I mentioned, is a big partner, and the first benefit that you will get as a member of the Traction REIA is 20% off liquid paint. Doesn't matter if you buy 1 gallon, 100 gallons, doesn't matter if it's PPG, if it's bare, any type of paint, you will always get 20% off. Another great benefit is a special discount with cabinets and on appliances. And I have personally used this on my home and on my rentals or on renovations. I always get the best pricing available, including, let's say, the Black Friday is coming or July the 4th, Home Depot will send emails, so we're had on the website special buy. You will get even lower than that, at least 5% lower than that. So this discounts, I always say, their money back in your pocket. And one of the most popular one is the 2% cashback rebate. The Home Depot will look how much you have spent from January to June, and then they'll send you 2% of all the sales of those sales that you did. And then they will send you a check again for all the purchases between July and December. And then you'll get the check for this period that is coming. You'll get it approximately in February. So this is a great program that our members love. If you're doing a lot of renovation, fantastic. If you're a big developer, fantastic. But if you're buying things for your home, this will accrue, and then you will get a 2% cash back as well. And in general, they're going to look at you differently because as a group, we spend more than 40 million a year in Home Depot, just traction alone. So they love us, we love them. This is my little son, Dominic. He was probably, I think, 2. And I always like to put this photo because I need to remind you, have you enrolled properly for the rebate? Once you join Traction, you get an email from us letting you know how to do this process. But some of my members joined a few months ago and then they don't do this part. So this is a reminder, please, please, please complete your enrollment process. Once you join Traction, you're going to start getting emails on special promos. And this is how the Pro Extra screen, if you log into homedepot.com/Pro Extra and you go into your account, you should see the gold right there in the middle. If you do not see that and you remember Traction, please email me directly. I put my email in the chat. It's Carolina@tractionrea.com. And we need to make sure that you have that because that's what's going to give you the 20% off at all times. Okay. And if you didn't understand my lovely accent and you didn't understand how Home Depot works, don't worry. You can just log into tractionrea.com and then all the instructions, everything will be there. We also have a great partnership with Rent Perfect, Office Depot. I should say the old Office Depot, they still have that brand. FedEx, we even offer health plans and Six Flags. Office Depot rebranded. They're now called ODS, ODP, but you can still use the discounts. Again, this is all on the website. You can buy things online, you can buy things at the store. But this is just a quick reminder that they are changing their brand, and but the discounts and the benefits are still there for you. FedEx, again, you're getting discounts here, and I always say whatever you save here, use it on your marketing materials to get those leads. This is how the member area will look. So again, if you didn't understand my lovely accent, then you just go here, click on Home Depot benefits, and then you just follow the steps. We also have extra trainings, market updates, extra info for our members in here. We also give you a frequent attendee card. Anytime you come to an in-person meeting, you do an event with us. For our members, at the end of this event, you will write in one of the circles on November the 17th, 2022, and that counts as a stamp. Once you do 10 events, then we reward you with a $50 gift card, free entry to a Saturday class, or we extend your membership 3 months. So make sure that you do that today. And if you complete your 10 stamps today, just email me, take a photo of your membership card, and I'll email you your gift. By now, you should have an idea who we are, what we do, how you can benefit from our association, how you can benefit not only from the networking, the education, but some of the benefits that we offer you. Individuals are 196 per year. If you have a couple, 2 people in the same household, is 248. Or if you have 3 people in one business, then it's 348. The benefits are the same, it's just the different levels. So if you are not a member of Traction REIA, Tom will put the link, it's tractionreia.com. You click on join now, fill out the information, and then you'll receive an email right away with all the benefits and instructions. So that is the Traction Real Estate Investors Association membership that will give you all the benefits. Tomorrow, we have an in-person meeting for our Florida friends that are joining us online right now. It's from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. We do a luncheon. It's another working luncheon at the Geckos in Sarasota. Again, all the information is on our website. And then we also have I'm going to say a very cool event that we put together. This is for our DC friends or anybody in the DC region, including Maryland, Virginia, even some of our Jersey friends, if they want to join us, absolutely. This is the first time we're going to do this particular type of event. The Home Depot, they built this design center. It's not a store. There's nothing you can buy here. But the cool thing is that they have 20 different kitchens that they put together. They have all the toilets, showers, bathrooms, anything that you can think of that will go in a kitchen, in a bathroom. You could see flooring. It's fantastic. So I have been working on this event for about 4 months now. And Home Depot said, yes, we can host an event just for Traction. So anybody is welcome to attend. The entrance to this event is free. It's December 3rd from 9 a.m. to 12. You and your family can join us. We are gonna give you complimentary breakfast. And then you're gonna be able to walk through the entire design center. You're gonna be able to see appliances as well. And the cool thing is they have different levels of kitchens, and then you can say, oh, I want the high-end kitchen, and then you click on the screen and then it gives you the lineup of pricing, so you can see how much it will cost to build this kitchen. So I think this is going to be a really cool event. Please mark it on your calendars, Saturday the 3rd. And I think we have a link already, Tom, for people to RSVP for that one, right? Oh, thank you. Make sure you RSVP. and go. It's gonna be fantastic from 9 to 12 on a Saturday, so no traffic. Coming to Rockville, Maryland, and spend a few hours with us. We're also gonna have several vendors. For example, paint. You can talk to them about paint. Cabinets, friends are coming. So it'd be really cool just to talk to them, to see with your beautiful eyes, this is how the kitchen would look. This is how this cabinet looks. They have all the appliances as well, from super high-end to basic. Let's say you want to do a basic renovation. They have that too. So please join us. We're very excited to have you guys there. And I got them to give us a lot of gifts. We're going to do raffles, Home Depot gift cards. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So Saturday, December 3rd. And is that all for me? I think so. Very happy to see you all. Bye-bye. And again, if you didn't understand a word that I said, just email me and I'll put it in plain English. Bye.
All right. Awesome. Back with the low tech switch. Okay, so let's see here. I think I've got just a couple things to tell you. Then I want to get down to our speakers. So give me just 1 second. And because there's something I can only do from my machine, I got to do it right now. There we go. I'm not sure why. That's only from my machine, but it is. All right, good. You guys will figure that out in a second. Now, what else do I got to say about this? My next upcoming implementation boot camp to train you on all aspects of real estate investing, no matter what exit strategy you want to do, but finding deals, making deals, and getting paid. So the kind of the core, I call it total traction. It's going to, we've booked it in to Sarasota, Florida on Saturday and Sunday, March 4th and 5th, 2023. Oh, it's going to be a fantastic location if you want to have a nice tax-deductible vacation and a very enjoyable event. We just finished this event a couple weeks ago in DC. It was fantastic. I know people there all walked out saying there's just something different, like something really clicked in them. And we got a lot of people really focused and moving ahead very rapidly, and we're happy about that. So we're going to be doing that event again, first weekend of March at that hotel right there. The beautiful Hyatt Regency Sarasota, right on the water. Sarasota has some of the nicest coastline in the country. Honestly, it's just fantastic, along with great weather. Some other coastlines I love, but the weather is not as awesome as it is in Sarasota. So it's good. Magnificent pool, everything else. We'll be having good times, cocktail parties, stuff by the pool, and our meals as well. So fantastic. I include a lot, usually include breakfast and the main dinner as well. So just get yourself down there as long as you are a part of my Total Traction program. I'll have Carolina pop the link into the chat for that as well. It's Saturday and Sunday, March 4th and 5th, 2023. Never too early to plan ahead for something like that. I think by early March, you'll probably be sick and tired of winter. So come on down and enjoy the great weather, and we'll have good training. Now, with that being said, I want to stop sharing my screen, and I want to introduce our first speaker. So let's see, Matt Camp. I know you're on here somewhere, but I've got, hey, there you are. I've got 70 something small windows. I hear you just fine. Let me
there we
put
go.
a spotlight on you. There you go. Hey, there he is.
Hey,
he must be
everybody.
a deal machine, judging by the giant bright sign behind you.
Right. So tough to miss that. There we go.
Cool. So guys, why I brought Matt on today is because finding deals is always important, but it's especially important with the topsy-turviness of the market that we're heading into. So those who get really good at finding deals are going to have a radically more awesome time than those who just sit there and flop out because they can't find anything. And one of the cool ways I one of the cool ways I have found finding them is using Deal Machine. That's what Matt wants to talk to you about. So he's got a great process for all that. So thanks for being here, buddy.
Absolutely. I'm excited to be here. I loved hearing about the events you guys have coming up. I mean, I know you have a phenomenal group, but that, tough to pass up on Sarasota like that. So that's,
Come on now, we'll see you in, we'll see you in March.
Yeah, right. Awesome. Well, appreciate you teaming me up, Tom. I'm gonna try. Can I share my screen here as well too?
That was the little secret that I needed to do, where I can only do for my.
Oh, here we go.
Give you authority to do it, and you can now.
All right, let me know.
I see your screen. 3-step playbook.
Perfect. Cool, cool. Did you want me to just jump right into it?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Perfect, guys. Well, yeah, again, good to meet everybody on here. Really, really appreciate everyone's time tonight on on your end as well. And I know my role over here is head of partnerships over at Deal Machine. So I love doing these types of things where I get to come on and educate people around what we're seeing working well today. What I'll be really handing off to you guys today is a 3-step playbook that is the common thing through all of our most successful customers and investors. And of course, like I'm a big believer in what we do in our technology and how we can be a useful tool for people to go find that first deal, or find the next 10 deals. But beyond that, like I think you'll walk away from this, regardless of if you're actually using Deal Machine or not, and really have 3 steps in common of, hey, here's exactly what people are doing and exactly how you can take action on it. Where you have these three tenant pillars common amongst the newbie investor doing that first deal, and all the way up to investors that we have that are literally wholesaling hundreds of deals a year. So if anyone I don't know if there's anybody on here that currently uses Deal Machine or has any experience with us, throw that in the chat. I always love to know that if there's anybody on here that is familiar with us already. But really, really excited to be on here today. So Tom, thanks again for bringing me on. Awesome, getting the thumbs up. Well, perfect. So jumping into this, I'll be sharing that playbook with everybody. And then also in addition to that, I'll be showing off exactly how to do it inside the technology too. There we go. Mark, awesome. Cynthia, awesome. Brian, hey, that's all right. If you haven't used it, no worries. I'll be showing off again the technology itself. So like, hey, here's exactly how to use it, the pro tips around, hey, here's kind of how to execute on this playbook. And then in addition to that, I'll give the actual steps breaking down on, hey, here are the right actions to be doing to get to that first deal. So, we've got a few people who just started. Awesome. Yeah, there we go. It's actually good. Perfect. Thanks, guys. So I know, kind of touching on what Tom had mentioned around, hey, the people who can find great deals are going to be the winners. It is so exciting right now to be in this space, to be thinking about this, to be getting into this, because right now we have such an opportunity that you really only get a few times in your professional life. Like this is an opportunity where people are coming in and if there's any kind of slowdown or, downturn, recession, whatever you like to call it, however severe, in times like that, real estate investors are more valuable. In any kind of downturn, any kind of slowdown, real estate investors, our role is to go find distress and to solve that problem for people. And in any type of downturn like this, any type of slowdown, there are more people with problems to solve. There are more people out there that won't be in good situations. And you as a real estate investor can offer speed and convenience and cash to help that person get out of a situation, get out, solve their problem, and do a win-win where you can use tools like this, or you can use a playbook like this to go find those people, go directly to them and help solve that problem. So it's an extremely exciting time to be in this, to be learning about this, to be thinking about this, to be taking action on this. Now, if if you're spending time on a Thursday night here, like you probably value real estate, that it's the best wealth generator out there. Now, why don't most people start? Like, why don't most people, if they know it's valuable, if they know they should be doing it, why is it so hard for people to start? And the number one thing it distills down to is, hey, you need a simple, easy, proven process to go out there and to get started. So I'll be going through, again, tonight, we're going to be giving you that playbook, giving you that process. Feel free to throw questions in the chat. I'll make sure to get to those too. Maybe more towards the end, but I'll make sure to leave time for that, Tom, so that way I can get in and really help people out one-on-one too as we get through this. Awesome. As well. So the playbook I share today, it's based on our mission, like, Deal Machine in general. We're our one line goal of how we really be able, or how we create our product, how we serve our customers is giving everyone the power of real estate investing. We want to be the answer of, hey, how do you go find that first deal? Hey, you'll go use a tool, go use Deal Machine. So that's really the lens that we're thinking about this through. If you haven't heard of us, why we have any credibility on this subject, our technology, we've had people add nearly 100 million leads to Deal Machine. Doesn't mean they've marketed to all of them, but it means added inside our technology, inside the app. It's a mobile app, as you can see right there, and then a desktop app as well that instantly sync up with each other. We've had people do over 10,000 deals on, our customers have done using Deal Machine, done deals in every single state. We're the highest rated and most reviewed app out there for real estate investors. So 4.8 out of 5 stars on the App Store and Google Play, and 4,000 reviews combined if you add up all that together. So I'm really, really proud of that. Like, we really hang our hat on that statistic to say what makes us unique, what makes us different is the value that we're bringing people. And it's, proven through the ratings and reviews there. But the playbook I'll share today, again, it's distilled down from all of those customers. We have literally 150 customers so far, ish, that we've interviewed on our YouTube channel, that for an hour at a time, 2 hours at a time, breaks down exactly how they go find deals, how they go land deals. One example here being Ryan Haywood, who is a guy that's based out of Kansas City, Missouri, just north of it in St. Joe. I'm in St. Louis here with a small team here. We're pretty virtual in general, but Ryan is out there where he actually started real estate in January 2020. He had no prior real estate experience, had never done a deal. He jumped into a 30-day challenge where day 2 was say, hey, go download Deal Machine. So he got to know us there. And then literally 17 days into the challenge, he had his first deal under contract. Through the rest of that year, he did 72 deals using the Deal Machine app. And, since then, since January, he's done over 400 deals. So 400 wholesale deals using Deal Machine. So it's people like this that we're listening to, and we're understanding, how is he doing this? How is he doing this at such a high volume? And we're able to break that down into into this playbook. It's also people who are doing it on a much smaller scale and looking to just build financial freedom in a slower pace. And Enzo right here, he's wholesaling. He's using that to fuel his long-term investing. And then he's done some fix and flips and buy and holds this last year. 75% of his deals have come from using Deal Machine. So it's people like that, Enzo in St. Louis, people like Ryan who are doing this at extremely high volume, extremely high scale. David right there on the left side, he's our CEO and founder. I mean, the reason why we even exist is that he was brand new to real estate, had just moved to Indianapolis, so was brand new to that market. And he was going to REIA groups and figuring out like, hey, how do I go find my first deal? And the thing that he kept hearing over and over and over again is go drive for dollars, which if you're familiar with that term, hey, get in your car and drive around, look for fixer uppers, look for properties that are physically distressed, that need some tender love and care. And for whatever reason, the property owner just isn't keeping up with. And, make a list of those and reach out to those people and try to get in touch with them and try to see if they're interested in selling. And, that idea has been around for decades. Like, it's definitely nothing that we came up with, but David started doing that process and realized, man, I'm getting in, I'm finding the right people, because he's finding houses that are distressed, and he would drive by 6 months later and would be being worked on and would have been transacted, would have been sold. They just weren't selling to him. So he realized, okay, I'm doing the right thing. I'm finding the right leads by driving around and finding these fixer uppers, but I'm not doing the right things for them to sell to me. I'm not staying top of mind. I'm not getting out there. I'm not scaling the strategy. I'm not able to find enough sellers, enough leads to do this, effectively. And that's where he came up with the original Deal Machine app, is to help solve that problem, is to help get in front of enough people and get in front of them enough times. So that way you are the one that wins the deal, because you're the one that they're familiar with, and you're the one that is top of mind when they actually are a motivated seller. Because, in the end, like he's not trying to be a deal maker. He's not trying to, force people to sell that don't want to sell. He's trying to be a deal finder, where he's in front of them at the right time. And when they do have a true motivation, they're actually ready to sell, that he's the one that they think of and trust. So, that was, David's journey as well. So it's pulling from David, Enzo, Ryan, all those folks to present it to you tonight, of saying like, here are those 3 steps. So just want to preface all of that to say, hey, here's where we're coming from. The 3 steps here, we've really organized into this real estate investing triangle, and this nice little way to remember this, to take this away from this presentation. But really, the commonality between all this, between finding a deeply discounted deal, no matter what you're going to do with that property, whether it be wholesale or fix and flip or buy and hold, regardless, finding a great deal means finding the right leads. And finding the right leads, that means going out there, means going directly to sellers. So for us, we talk about, hey, getting in your car and driving around and looking for fixer-upper properties, you know, that driving for dollars methodology, that is the kind of core of what we're known for and what we built our technology for. I would say from a standpoint of how many leads to get in front of, like, again, it's a numbers game in the end. Like, you have to build out a funnel by filling it with a ton of leads up top. And, you know, a certain percentage of those are going to actually get in touch with you. And then a certain percentage of those are actually going to be interested in hearing, you know, having you go on an appointment and actually hearing an offer and actually closing. So the more you can fill the top of the funnel with qualified leads, the more the bottom of your funnel is going to be, you know, the higher likelihood the bottom of your funnel is going to be successful. What we see looking at our data is, hey, if you build a list of 100 leads to begin with, so 100 physically distressed properties where you've gone out and you've picked these out, you know, you found these yourself, these properties that have a tarp on the roof, or they've got boarded up windows, or they've got gutters falling off, issues with the siding, maybe they're just really outdated, they've got, you know, a window AC unit and things like that, where you're like, okay, that needs some updating. Maybe they have one more subtle clue that I like to use often is our first hire used deal machine, practicing what we preach, landed his first deal, and it was a property that had Halloween decorations up, and it was like March. So like things like that, where it's okay, for whatever reason, that property owner just isn't keeping up with the physical appearance of that property. And the reason being is that data, like, finding those types of properties, that is an earned list. You know, it's a higher barrier, a higher threshold than it would be just pulling any kind of list or buying a list somewhere, things like that. This is a list of properties that you went out and found, or I'll show you, like, you can, you know, bring someone on and them find it for you. But regardless, you're building a list that no one else has. And that means that, hey, these leads are way less competitive because, you know, other people don't have easy access to that. They're the diamonds in the rough that people may not be already finding. They also are, you know, that physical distress, that is the number one indicator of a motivated seller. You know, that is the number one indicator that, hey, at some point they're going to be interested in selling. So it's not a high equity or absentee owned, or, you know, these other indicators can help also be motivators. But the number one predictor of if they're going to be wanting to sell at a certain point is, hey, does that property need some work? So going out there, you're finding the most motivated and least competitive leads by getting out there, driving around, looking for properties. And when you hit that 100 lead threshold, you may or may not have your first deal in those 100 leads. In fact, you're probably likely not. It usually takes closer to maybe 300-400 leads if we looked on a national scale of, you know, number of leads per deal, like that ratio. But if you hit 100 leads, we look at the data within our customer base and we see, hey, once they hit that threshold, they're highly likely to keep going. They're highly likely to have built great habits, so that way they're getting out there and they know, hey, you know, I'm doing the right things. I'm motivated. I'm getting used to this. I'm building this into my daily routine. I'm taking different routes as I drive around and I'm looking for fixer uppers. I'm taking, you know, 30 minutes, an hour out on a, you know, as I'm driving home or on a weekend, or, you know, I'm doing the right things to kind of build this into my schedule. And, you know, when you hit that 100 lead mark, that's when we really see momentum start to build and see people really stick with this long term. So that's really, I would say, you know, from a standpoint of, like, when you hear how many leads do you need to add to a list, that 100 threshold, like that is really where things start to take hold. Let's see, Paul Jones, 300 to 400 leads per month or per campaign. So the 100 lead threshold is where we see people be successful. If you want to do the first deal formula, as we call it, of like how many leads go to your first deal, it depends per market. You know, if you're in like a Phoenix or a San Diego or something super competitive, I mean, we could see people, it could take up to, you know, 800, 900, 1,000 leads in super competitive areas. But again, your wholesale fee is going to be, you know, very worth it. Like, your wholesale fee is going to be much bigger there than it would be in a St. Louis. In a St. Louis, you're looking at closer to like 300, 400 leads. So on a national whole, I would say 300 to 400 is a pretty good rule of thumb, unless you're in a very, very competitive market. You know, that being said, we do have people who, like, for example, one guy, Quentin, down in San Antonio, literally the 4th lead he called, he added Deal Machine and called them. He did a deal right there. So you can get lucky. You can get the right, right timing, be right place, right time, right conversation where you reach out to somebody. But if you're going to look at, hey, I want to have sustained success, I want to do multiple deals this year, I want to do a deal a month, even more, I want to, have sustained success, try to think about that ratio as closer to like 300, 400 leads per deal. So, hopefully that gives you guys a good rule of thumb there, to show this off in action. So knowing all of that, knowing like, hey, you want to find those physically distressed properties, you want to find the ones that, it's the number one indicator of a motivated seller, it's the least competitive leads out there. Showing this off in action, I can actually, let me try to jump into Deal Machine here and give me a thumbs up if you can see the app now instead of the slides, just making sure I'm sharing the right thing. Yeah, thumbs up. Okay, cool. Awesome. So, thank you for playing along. In the app itself here, this is the desktop version, right? We have a mobile version too, so it looks very similar to this, just squeezed down on the size of a phone. But how you use this, very, very simple and easy. Jump into Deal Machine. Again, step 1 is to build your list, build those first 100 leads. And that's where you're going to really snowball your efforts. You start off and being able to actually jump into this. Let me zoom out here for you guys. Hold on a second. Hold on, give me my internet's having an issue here, so let me zoom out for you. If I can back this up. Hold on a second. Oh man, internet here is not great. The idea of this is, hey, when you jump in, you've got all these black dots, right? So you see all these different properties that are all around you. It'll lock onto your location. So let me see. Why is this zooming in? Hold on a second here, guys. All right, let me log back in for you. It's having a quick little internet issue. So the idea of this is when I show this off for you here, you'll be able to actually see there's black dots on the map all over, and those black dots are something that you can go and quickly, it locks on your location as you drive through your neighborhood right there. It'll move with you. So you'll be able to see, oh, here we go. Okay. Zoom out. Okay, got it now. All right, perfect, guys. Here, let me try this. Give me another thumbs up if you see the technology come back up. All right, cool. Thanks for hanging with me. All right, so going into this, you're going to see, here's your map around you. Here's South St. Louis right here. Going in, when you jump in, you'll see, again, it locks onto your location. So this is the desktop version. You also have a mobile version here for you too. And if you're going to actually get in your car and physically drive around, you're on the mobile app first. So, you're looking at that as your tool to help find these properties. But say it locks onto my location right here. If I drive east down Nottingham, as I drive, it's going to move with me, right? And be able to actually move down the street. And, anytime I look around, I'm going to be looking for, physically distressed properties in real life. See a property that's, run down, it could look vacant, could have, again, the boarded up windows, the, gutter issues, tarp on the roof, siding falling off, indicators like that. And when you see that, hey, cool, let me click on that in the app, can see, hey, it'll tell you immediately more information about that property. Is it corporate owned? Is it absentee owned? So right here, you can see this one's absentee owned by John and Jenny. Hey, what is more, is there any more info on the actual, sale price, sale date, equity percentage, things like that, where it's going to depend on your market to really show you more information about that particular property. But you'll be able to go in and immediately see, hey, is this a property that looks like a good lead? Is this one that, again, is physically distressed first and foremost? And then after that, hey, is it something that has a little bit higher equity? Is it something that, you can look at the sale date, you can look and figure out, hey, what is the mortgage information? What is the, total assessed value? So you'll be able to instantly see, right in your pocket right there, hey, what is more, what is the information around the situation of this particular property owner, and really look and see, okay, is this a qualified lead? If it is, hey, hit add lead right on the spot, and you'll see, a blue pin pop up right away. So you'll see that these blue pins pop up right around the map for you. And that's showing you, hey, these are properties that I've added to my list that are then on my leads tab for me to go back to. And when I add them on my mobile phone, it'll also sync up with the desktop right away. So your goal is to be able to come in and really figure out, okay, how can I go around, add these leads quickly, get to that 100 threshold and that couple hundred threshold and start reaching out to those owners. So, step one, again, it's going in the map, it's looking at this, it's making it really simple and easy to start adding leads here for you. A couple of quick pro tips for people of what's been most successful, a couple of more powerful features for people that really separates them from the rest of the pack. Up here, you'll see these two buttons. You've got the map options button and the highlights button. These are both on the mobile app as well. When you click map options, you can do a couple things here. Like some people like the satellite view so you can really see the houses as you drive by, You'll see this MLS data on the map. That means that anytime you come across a blue dot right here, that means it's had an MLS status within the last 12 months. So you'll see, and we have sold data for every single state. So, that includes like, Texas and the non-disclosure states, all of that. But you can go in here and see MLS data around days on market and sale price and sale date and, listing agent, all that type of information. So, that'll be on the map for you as well. This route tracking feature, so showing routes on the map, as you drive around, if you've got our route tools unlocked, it's an upgrade within Deal Machine, you'll see a green line pop up behind you. And that way, when you view the map after you're done driving, here's an example right here, you'll be able to zoom out and see, hey, where have I driven and where do I need to drive next? And, really use this as a way to be extremely efficient and never double back on a route, never double back on where you've driven, and save as much time as possible while driving around. You can even see over time, it turns yellow at 6 months and turns red at a year. So you can go back and figure out, hey, this area, I've done deals over here and it's yellow now or it's red now. Like this could be a really good place to go redrive and go look again for properties that have changed condition. So that route tracking feature is extremely powerful. The other button right here, that highlights button, this is something that I think is really pretty unique to us and something that it goes underutilized, let's say, in general. And again, this is with the route tools upgrade right here, but when you click the highlights button, you'll be able to go in and dig into thousands of data points from us around, okay, let me highlight different areas of the map that fit a particular criteria. So that way I know how to score my leads in real time. And what I mean by that is, okay, say I want to go in here and I want to find properties that, hey, they're absentee owned, cool, and, and they're single family, and they're high equity. So I'm going to search by equity percentage and do, greater than, 35%, cool, confirm, apply those highlights. And hey, I've got a property right here that fits that criteria. And as I drive around, you'll see these highlights pop up with you and really reflect the data that you're trying to filter right there. So you can look and see. And when I drive by, if I know this property fits all of my criteria, fits all those different things that I know makes a good lead, and it's physically distressed, and it's distressed in front of me, then awesome. Let me tag that one as high priority. When you add that property inside Deal Machine, the ability to tag a property on the mobile app comes up right away. Tag that as high priority because like, hey, I need to spend my time on that lead first. Like they fit all the other things I'm looking for. They're physically distressed property as well. Great, that's a super high quality lead. So this is a way to really kind of lead score in real time and find those high priority leads in addition to you driving around and looking for the properties that have, physical distress. So I'd say, from a pro tip perspective, yeah, route tracking, highlights, all of that are super powerful. Two last things to show you before I get to step 2 here. One of them is that you can go in and actually add, and I can do a whole nother, follow-up future presentation on this alone, but you can build your own driving for dollars team inside of Deal Machine. You can add bird dogs into Deal Machine to drive for you and to drive, go add leads for you. You can just simply click the top left corner or top right corner, pardon me, hit team, and then just add people to your team. And if you're on, I know our starter plan has 1 user, but if you're on our pro level plan, you get 5 different users here, where on mine, I've got Elliot driving with me. He's a driver right here. And I can go in and say, hey, yeah, I'm just going to have him only have access to adding leads. You know, he doesn't have access to anything else inside a deal machine. He's just simply going out, driving around, looking for properties, tagging them, and letting me look at them from there. So, you know, adding bird dogs in here, I know that's something Tom talks about often is bird dogs within his teachings. Like, here's a really easy way to use technology to manage those bird dogs, see where they're driving, see their routes, see how often they're driving, see how many leads they've added. I can go in here and really quickly, you know, go in and filter those leads. So I can filter and say, hey, let me see all the leads that were added by Elliot. Cool, confirm that, apply. And I can see he's added 82 leads for me in Farmington. So, you know, going through this and being able to use bird dogs in a really effective way using, you know, technology, you know, that's one of our main differentiators there. So bird dogs are one pro tip. And then last one here for you is virtually driving for dollars. And this is something that is really cool to show off, and really fun to use. Actually, you're clicking for dollars essentially, but you know, we see people use this if they're in a market that they physically are located in, but don't want to invest in, you know, they want to invest somewhere else, but still won't know that driving for dollars gives you the best leads, the best bang for your buck, the highest quality leads. Hey, here's how you can do that. Or, you know, we see people do this if it's really bad weather out, or they've got a day job, they can't drive around during the day, or, you know, maybe they have a virtual assistant that does this for them. You know, that we see a ton of people use this in a variety of ways like that. But if you click this top right button and hit start driving, and then drop the little figure right here anywhere on the map. Let me get out of the street right there. Doing that, let me expand this for you. You'll see this imports Google Street View right into Deal Machine. And you can basically click for dollars from here, where you're looking at the condition of properties this way. And when I look at that property, it'll automatically pop up for me right here and tell me, hey, this is absentee owned. This is, you know, it'll go right through. Here's the equity percentage, assessed value. Here's the mortgage info. It's just as you would, you know, in real life. You can click for dollars right here from your couch, from anywhere, anytime. So I will mention, it'll tell you when the photo is taken in the bottom right here. And you know, that way you can know, like, hey, this is an updated photo or not, which in most markets, like the top 100 markets, Google's doing this often. Like they're updating these pictures every year or two. So highly likely that it's going to be a pretty recent picture, but you can even look at that photo taken, then go in here and say, hey, yeah, it was taken in 2022. The last time this property was sold is 2008. All right, I'm good. You know, it's still the same owner. Like I would compare the sale date, the last sale date, to that picture and use that as kind of a guide as well. All right. Actually, one last thing. I know, Tom, you know, my goal here is to show, hey, how do you find the best bang for your buck? You know, the driving for dollars leads. I do want to point out we have this list builder right here too, since I know you guys, you know, you talk about like pulling, you know, out of state absentee lists or MLS days on market or expired listings and things. We do have a list builder tool right here. We're not going to be focused on that today. But if you want to, you know, take that route as well and couple your driving for dollars leads with pulled lists, we have that right inside Deal Machine as well. It's an upgrade as well inside Deal Machine. So just want to give you guys a little bit of a, you know, final insider tip there. So all right, so let me answer a few questions. When it says it's absentee owner, does that mean it's vacant? Absentee owned means that, hey, it's owned by somebody who is also, you know, out of state, is also in a different location. Could be out of state, could be here. Let me show you here. You've got a couple different statuses, like owner type can be absentee or out of state absentee. So you know, it's somebody who's not physically at that property, the owner of that property. Yeah, Brian, thanks for answering that. Cool. That red is the highlight. Yeah. So right here, this like yellow red color, that is the highlighted property right there. So for example, let me give a highlight that's a little bit more broad, so you'll see a lot of it pop up. If I hit highlights and say like, yeah, just broadly absentee owned properties, you'll see more of those pop up all, you know, in various blocks and things. So, you know, driving around, you'll be able to kind of identify, hey, is this a highlighted property or not? Yeah, and then zombie is a property here. I'll show you the exact filter here. So it's a property that, and it's a fun filter. It's a pre-foreclosed, but is not owned by the bank and is also vacant. So it's kind of in that limbo period. So, all right, awesome. How private is the info we upload? Pins are not shared. So anytime you pin a property, it's just your lead. They're not shared among Deal Machine members. Good question. And what does the blue represent? The blue is pinned property, so just leads that I've added. So if I drive down the street, hit that black button, hit that add lead, and you'll see that start pop up as a pin right there. So you've got that going for you. So let me zoom in. So like, for example, here, hit add lead. All right, awesome. Now it's a blue pin. It's on my list. So that means, hey, I've added that lead to my list to then take action on it. So cool. All great questions there. So I'll jump in it. So second step, first step, that's a big one. It's building a great list like that. You got to nail that. You got to be really good at that to be able to, or just consistent at it, to be able to get to that number of leads, number, fill up the top of your funnel to get to that bottom of the funnel, number of deals done. Right. Awesome. So step one, find the right leads, find enough of them. Step two, okay, awesome. I've got a great list of leads. How do I get in touch with them? How do I get in front of them in an effective way and consistently market to them to stay top of mind? You guys can see the slides again, right? Hopefully it's switched back over. Maybe. There we go. Cool. Thanks, Tom. The key here is the word consistency. Consistent is what separated, and really the main lesson that David learned here along the way is, he would go out again. Was going to REIA meetings, told go drive for dollars, would drive around Indy. He would actually take a pen and paper. He'd write down the addresses. So that took him forever. He would go look up info about that owner. That would take him forever. And then he'd actually try to send a postcard to them. So try to actually like handwrite a postcard and send that to them, or just print one out and send it. That whole process would take, 30 plus minutes. And he would just do it once. And he sat back and was like, all right, I mailed out 50 postcards. Awesome. I'm going to land that deal. I'm just waiting for phone calls. Like he's waiting for the money to come in. Did not work that way. And the reason being like, hey, you need to be the one that is right place, right time. You need to have that touch point with them that just happens to be at the time that they're motivated, that they're ready to sell, and that you're the one that gets that call. And that means one mailer is not going to do it. One piece of marketing is not going to do it. In fact, if we look at the data, it tells us, hey, if you even have the right lead and they're going to sell someday, if you only send one postcard to them, you're only going to get the deal 15% of the time, 15.5% of the time. You're highly unlikely that you're going to be the right person or you're going to be the person that gets that call back if you've only reached out to them one time. If you send 3 postcards, so if you have 3 marketing touch points, you're still missing out on that deal over half of the time. You're 52.4% of the time. So how do we go about doing this? How do we go about automating this and really reaching out to people? Well, there's a 2-pronged approach that our most successful investors are doing, that our most successful customers are doing. And it's the commonality between all of them. It's using short-term marketing outreach, which means one-to-one marketing outreach that takes time. It takes you actually, doing one-on-one outreach, like a call, a text, a door knock, leaving a sticky note on the door, doing something that's one-to-one like that. So they're trying to get on their radar, pique their interest, build an initial relationship with them that way. And then they're combining that with the second prong, the short-term marketing outreach with long-term marketing outreach. And where we would really categorize that is something that's one-to-many, one that scales, one that you can set it and forget it and automate it. So that way you just hit one button and you don't have to worry about it again. And the key way to do that inside a Deal Machine is through postcards, through direct mail. So I'll show this off too in action is, hey, you want to put in the short-term marketing outreach with the long-term marketing outreach to give yourself the best chance, a nice mix of marketing as well, because some people are going to respond to a call versus a text versus an email versus, a door knock versus a postcard, differently. Some people are going to respond to different marketing methods differently and, really pay attention to different marketing methods differently. So the more different types of marketing and the combination of that short-term and long-term together is what is going to give you the best opportunity to be the one that they then get in contact with to actually sell their property. So going into this, again, you've, got on the mobile app right here, you've driven around and you've, started adding leads. You've added at least 100 leads, ideally a couple hundred. Now that you've done that, you're going to actually reach out to them, and you've got 2 specific options to do it. You can do it, on the go, like as you're driving around, where, say I add this lead, the 2 buttons that are going to pop up are skip trace, so one-off skip trace or one-off send mail. And this skip trace button, I'll show this off, it takes a couple seconds and boom, I've got 4 phone numbers, an email address, and an additional address right there. That is a way to immediately get in touch with them, do that short-term one-to-one marketing outreach where you can see email addresses, if they're verified and deliverable or not. You can see phone numbers where we come back with premium skip trace data, which means it'll tell you, is it mobile? Is it landline? Is it connected, disconnected? Is it on the do not call list? Is it on the known litigators list? Is it, what's the caller ID? So I can right away see, hey, I skip trace Elise right here, Elise and Matthew. This caller ID is Elise, mobile, connected, perfect. I think that's probably the number right there. So copy phone number over and give her a call or text. So that's one way to reach out, is right on the spot. You can one-off skip trace like that. You can also do it if you hit the leads tab right here, which what I just showed you, that one-off, we'll see people do that on the go a lot on the phone. This leads tab, we'll see people, you can do this on the phone as well, but we'll see this often used on the desktop version. They'll come back on the computer, and if you got a computer that you can use for this as well, they'll sit through and use it in this way, where here are all the leads I just added, right? Here's the one I just skip traced, and I can go through and one-off skip trace that person, or come in and actually bulk skip trace. So select all of them on the page, take a bulk action and skip trace those leads. Or, I can select literally all 13,000 of my leads I've gotten here and go in and skip trace all those leads. So you can go in and take action a couple different ways, one off our bulk for the skip trace button, and reach out to them that way. The other option is to, like I mentioned, have that long-term automated marketing where I'm going through and say that individual, I reached out to, I went in here, I skip traced them, came back, I got 10 phone numbers, 2 email addresses. I found this, this looks like the right one. Here's Mike right there. Caller ID. I gave him a call. He didn't answer. I left a voicemail. Maybe I left a text. And then I said, okay, what do I do from here? Well, this start mail button, this is the set it and forget it. This is the thing that you can just hit that button and it's going to automatically send a postcard to them, with the default being every 21 days. So again, if you look at the data, you need to do at least 3 times, right? To give yourself the best chance of landing that deal. Ideally, if you can budget for it, I would recommend 6 to 12 times. That's really kind of the sweet spot there, of every 21 days, 6 to 12 times sending a postcard, where every 21 days you'll see, okay, I'm going to send them this, then this, then this. And hey, here's the exact postcard they're going to get. You can see the exact template of what they're going to receive, and you'll be able to mess with that. Now, a couple of quick pro tips with the mail right there. You can go in and change the template of what they see. So you can go in here and change this and see, select, which we've got 9 or 10 default templates already ready to go inside Deal Machine. Those templates, the Ryan Haywood guy I talked about, who's done over 400 deals, he only uses those templates. He doesn't mess with it. He's got it all set up, ready to go, where he just selects the template and fires it off. So these are very proven, like the wording, the format, all that stuff is proven and tested. So you're set up for success to just not overthink it and just blast out a postcard like that. I will mention, when you add a lead in the mobile app, this camera button right here will come up as well. And if you take a picture of that property, so say 6624 Neosho, say I drove by it, or you had a bird dog drive by it, right? Or I did, if Elliot did, I'll say, hey, go take a picture of that property, and that picture is going to import onto the postcard. And when I send this and says, is this your property? That picture is going to be the one that you took, and that alone will double your response rate. That alone will pique their interest, will catch their attention, and you've got double the response rate right there. So going into this, the goal again is to send mail, to have it on repeat, to put it on this long-term nurture campaign like this, but being able to actually customize the picture, that's something you can do on the go through taking pictures, as you tag that property. This mail tab up here, so a couple other quick pro tips. This mail tab up here, you can go in here and see postcards, so you can see the designs that are already ready to go. Yes, Juan, you can also upload, you can create a new postcard, and be able to choose create a blank page, and you create your own design as well into Deal Machine as well. So you can go through and, instead of using one of our 9 default templates, create your own like that. You also, can change the size of the postcard. So you've got 6x9, 6x11. We have ballpoint letters. So these are super powerful, get triple the response rate, are going to be definitely more expensive to send out, but get triple the response rate because it, looks like it's handwritten. So you can send one-off handwritten letters like that, which we're actually the only one out there that can do this. We have a special agreement with Ballpoint Marketing to do this. So you usually have to buy in bulk to be able to do this. So you can actually send those out through Deal Machine to get a better response rate. So that's all through this postcards tab right here. And then the other thing, and this is actually new within the last month or so, Tom, pretty excited to kind of show this off, but the mail center right here, this is something where now you can really, really easily track and see, hey, what postcards are going out when, and how many have I sent this month, and how many have I scheduled, and what's the budget that I have that I'm going to be spending this month, and really use this as a way to optimize how much mail you're sending, who it's going to, and really use this as a way to get just way more effective at spending any kind of budget on sending out direct mail like this. So I'd say, again, step one, build a great list. Go out, build the right list of the right leads, at least 100, but ideally a couple hundred. Market to those leads at least 3 times to win over half of the deals, and also do that 2-pronged marketing approach of short-term marketing and long-term marketing. And if you're doing those first 2 steps, you're in a really, really good place to then execute on the 3rd step here, which is closing the deal. It's how do you stay organized? It's how do you follow up with people, and stay organized in that process to get to that deal close. And, a couple of things I want to get out of the way right away. I know this is something, Tom is phenomenal on the negotiating side. Like, he talks about a variety of things here, but on the negotiation piece, hey, I know this is a limiting belief David had, our CEO and founder. It's okay to say, I don't know. Like, it's okay to come into a conversation, and David felt like he had to know everything, know how to respond to every objection, know how to answer anything the seller would throw at him. That was analysis paralysis. Like, that kept him from talking to sellers. And once he gave himself permission to say, I don't know, and to come back to things like this and to ask, hey, how would you handle this? And to find mentors and to have a coach and do things like that, to really know how to then fall back and have this on-demand knowledge to tap into. That's how he landed deals. Is he went beyond going through and he took action. He went action first. He put himself into situations before he would actually and then fall back on this on-demand knowledge before he would stop himself and just say, hey, I feel like I need to know everything. And really, I like to compare this to, like, hey, you can't just watch Steph Curry for 30 hours, taking threes and expect to be able to take a 3 yourself. Like, you got to go in, you got to put in the work, you got to start talking to sellers, you got to find the right leads, highly motivated sellers potentially by, finding physically distressed properties. You got to put yourself in front of them and have those conversations. And then you'll be getting in the reps that you can consistently get better and better and better. So that's one thing that David had his limiting belief, and I see often. And once you overcome that, you can make offers and you can follow up. You can go through, and I can show inside the app how to do this in a systematic way. So that way you're building great relationships and no leads are falling through the cracks. Before I show that off, I know we've got a few questions jumping in here. So let me knock out a couple in the chat for you guys before showing off exactly how to follow up with those leads. All right, so Stan the man said, what's the additional charge for skip tracing? So depends on the plan you've got through Deal Machine. It's anywhere between 12 cents and 17 cents per skip trace. Our starter plan is 17 cents, and our team's plan is 12 cents. Is it always mailings, or the campaigns include text or email? So Paul, I would recommend doing both if you can. It's just that text and email is going to be one-to-one outreach. We don't have any automated solutions there. Texting, it's a big gray area on what exactly you can do in terms of mass blasting text messages. So I would definitely look into that in your state. And that's actually, we had built a technology to help people do that and realize, okay, this probably isn't this is a gray area. We don't want to mess with this. So we laid off on being able to automate any kind of text messages. There's rules on like one-to-many texts essentially. Let's see if we on a scale of 1 to 10, what is the learning curve on this app for non-technical people? So If anyone has deal machine experience, I know a few people mentioned that, feel free to chime in there, but we really pride ourselves on our onboarding and ability to make it really easy to learn the app and to learn how to use this. It's, again, our mission is to give everyone the power of real estate investing. And that means it's got to be drop dead simple and easy to do this, to go out and add leads, mail to them, call them, follow up with them. So I know this is something we've spent the last year, especially like if you use Deal Machine even previously, less than or longer than 12 months ago, it's a different experience now, even since then, because we're always refining it towards simplicity. And there are things that you can do that are really advanced. Like I know I showed off in here, you've got mail sequences you can unlock, you've got list builder, you've got all these driving tools, you've got things that are more advanced that you can grow into, but our goal is to make it extremely simple and easy for you to go and land that first deal. And then as you continue to get more sophisticated and more used to using this and more used to, doing all these actions, hey, now you can upgrade and do a deep dive into these individual areas and make it a more powerful solution for you. But when you get into it the first time, we don't want to overkill it. We just want to make it, hey, go add leads, go market those leads. Really simple and easy. All right. So with that third step, I want to show that off of how to stay organized, how to follow up, how to close deals. So again, I've showed off the drive tab, I showed off the mail tab, list builder briefly. When you click leads right here, you can jump in and see, okay, this is essentially we wouldn't call ourselves a CRM. Here, let me pause that mail so I don't actually mail them. We wouldn't call ourselves a CRM, but there's a lot of CRM functionality here where people will use this as a way to just stay organized and stay consistent and follow up and close the deal. So how to do that? A couple different things. One, I mentioned that you can tag properties right when you add them. Like I mentioned, hey, you can tag a property as high priority and things like that. When you add that property, you can go in here and here are all the tags that you can use, and you can customize those tags. Those tags, what's great about that is it helps you really prioritize who to reach out to first. So if you're going to do one-to-one calls and you want to go, you've tagged properties as high priority as you've added them to your lead list, go into here, go into the leads tab, hit filters, hit tags, and then go to your high priority list and say confirm. Awesome. Apply that filter. And now I've got 35 leads to start with. Like you can use this as a way to really understand who do I start with? How do I get organized by starting with my highest priority leads first? So that's one big pro tip. Secondarily, probably the two actions that are going to separate you from many other investors is using notes and then using tasks. Now, if anyone's been in like a sales role before, you have lived in this all day before then, and you've used some kind of software or even a spreadsheet or even a good old fashioned like file, physical paper file. Hey, that's the same idea of, okay, anytime I talk to somebody, I want to take notes on that conversation. And then I want to give myself a task so that way I know every single day I can review my to-do list and know exactly what I need to do next with each individual that I've talked to. So within Deal Machine, if you click on a lead, you go into here, you can see there's an activity right here, activity button. Click on that and you can add tasks. You can add notes. You can go in here and say, I talked to this person and they said, yeah, they want me to come by for an appointment tomorrow. Awesome. They have 2 kids. It's an inherited property. It's, they'll tell me, and they have a dog named Lassie, they'll tell me personal information. They'll tell me what's the situation with the property. They'll tell me, whatever the conversation you had with that particular owner. Awesome. Just dump all of that into the notes right here. And that way you can just quickly and easily review those notes before you have that next conversation with them. And you can build on that and build a real relationship and know exactly what is the situation you're dealing with that particular property owner. And then once I've added that note, I'm going to add a task for myself and say, hey, visit, they wanted me to go on an appointment. So cool. Visit this property at 2 p.m. Cool. They wanted me to come by tomorrow. All right. I'll make that task. And now every day that I log in, I log in a Deal Machine in the morning, click my tasks and see, okay, I've got to visit this property today, go on this appointment today, visit this one here at 2. All right, cool. I finished it, complete that task and on to the next one. So this simple habit of coming in, making sure that you take notes on each individual conversation, make sure you set tasks for yourself to never let a lead slip through your follow-up process. Those two things alone regardless of anything else you're doing in your follow-up, like that is what's going to get you from, top of the funnel of filling it with leads to, people calling you back, to people actually going on appointment, to people actually, you making offers, to actually closing deals. Like that is what makes sure you do not ever slip between any of those layers of that funnel, and, fill up that funnel and actually have results in the bottom. So, that's really kind of the that part in a nutshell. One last thing I want to show off in here, and this is, to close the deal again, right? Third step in the playbook is closing the deal. One super powerful tool that comes with every deal machine plan too is our comps button right here. So when you add a lead, we have MLS comps as well, and click comps, and you're able to either on the phone or on your desktop. So on the phone, if you're, in the room with them, actually negotiating with them, or if you're, actually, have access to your desktop right here, this tool can immediately give you confidence on knowing how to answer the question of, okay, what do you want to offer me, or what's my property worth? And jumping in here, you can immediately change things like, hey, I've got these filters. I can go in and say, okay, show me all the MLS data, which is just pulling from the MLS, right? It's the most up-to-date information. Again, every single state has access to this, even the non-disclosure ones like Texas and things. And I want to say, hey, show me all the properties. This is a changing market, right? Show me everything in the last month that fits this square footage, is within a certain number of, I'll give it 20 years or so either way. Fits bed, bath within a mile. Cool. Drop out of here, and I've got a couple different properties that I can pull from for comps right here. And if I want to get really specific, say, that, hey, this particular area of town is going to be way different than anything else over here, then I can hit start drawing and really use this draw tool to get really specific and draw around blocks right here. And on the go, be able to pull up these comps and see, hey, I've got an estimated value of 425 because based on these comps, it's going to give me an average square footage, average price, calculate it all out. And I can select and deselect properties right on the spot where I can see the estimated value change dynamically. So on the go, right in front of them, you can show off, hey, here are comps that actually are reflective of what your property is in your area through the MLS. And, if you click view on these, let me see if any of these have it. Okay, here we go. Awesome. So it depends on the market, but you'll have MLS photos to show off too. So you can see this property and see like, yeah, here's what the current property looks like. Well, here's what this one looked like when they listed it on the MLS. So you can really show off the condition of the property and really make sure you're comparing apples to apples here, and use all of this information as negotiating points with that seller. So that's one thing, when it comes to, again, in the playbook, hey, how do you go off and close the deal? The comps tool is going to be a huge part of that. It's really going to help you come confidently and use data confidently to show you, hey, here's what number I can offer. So again, recap, it's find the right leads. It's consistently market to them. It's close the deal, through staying organized and following up with people. And the thing that brings it all together is taking action first and having on-demand knowledge to fall back on. It's taking action, meaning build that list of leads, reach out to them, have conversations. And then when you find something you don't know how to answer, that's okay. Say, I don't know, and go back, and you have groups like this. You've got Tom, you've got, people to rely on that you can actually pick their brain and ask, because I guarantee somebody in this group has dealt with that objection before, and especially Tom. And so being able to come in and be able to say, hey, how would you deal with this situation, and set goals to, take actions on those goals, and those actions are going to define your results. And the results, again, it's going to be having people like this to fall back on and have this on-demand knowledge to be able to tap into. So one thing I did want to share, I know we have just a minute here before I take any other questions. I did want to show off for you guys, and what we wanted to hook you guys up with a couple of options here. I know Tom shared the link there. It's just tractionrea.com/deal machine. That's a free 7-day trial. So if you're going to try us out, like, even if you're not, use this playbook, like this is what we see work over and over and over again. But if you are going to try us out, like, we're a tool that makes this way easier, way more effective, way more efficient to do. We got a 7-day free trial, and you also get $30 in free skip traces and free postcards inside Deal Machine. If you go to that link, I just saw you drop it in the chat there too. So thanks, Tom. So go to that to be able to try us out and just, give it a try. If you are looking and saying, yeah, I'm ready to commit for the next 12 months, I'm ready to really invest and get out there and use a tool like this, then we do also have a even deeper discount for people, where this is something we're kind of doing as like an end of year special, and wanted to share it with you guys too. Is, hey, dealmachine.com/traction. That would actually give you all the driving for dollars stuff that I showed off, all the virtual driving for dollars stuff I showed off, the 5 users, so it gives you up to 4 bird dogs in addition to yourself, right? The MLS data, the comms tool, the CRM, the skip trace and postcards, all that included. And then the route tools upgrade. So like the highlights and the route tracking that I showed off, that's all included there too. So it's 12 months of all of that unlocked, which would normally, if you just went through our website, that's $1,800. Like that's a pretty big purchase. It's 45% off, or so almost half off at $990. So that's for you guys too. If you're actually going to fully jump in and say, yeah, I'm ready to do this for a full year, I'm going to go land my first deal and many after that, then instead of just going through our website, make sure to go through that link, and it's going to be way better discount than you would find anywhere else on our site like that. So wanted to make sure I got that out there too for you guys. Really hooked you up. I know I really appreciate, Tom, you bringing me on to kind of go through that playbook for everybody. I'm happy to answer any questions. I see there's a couple more in the chat, but then, I know I don't want to run over on time for you either. So appreciate you having me on.
Matt, awesome. I'll tell you, people, my students especially know everyone always asks me about software, and my answer is almost always the same. I don't find any real estate software I like. I find it all a pain in the butt. The interfaces stink, and they try to force you to do things in an unnatural way because it must make sense to some person that designed it, but not to everyone else. I never feel that way about Deal Machine. I've been using Deal Machine for multiple months now, and it works and it flows. Like, I know people are watching what you did. It's incredible seeing it on the map. You can see the Google on the map, or the Google Street View. On the same time, you're actually seeing the overview, and at the same time, you're immediately able to run the skip tracing, all of which were 3 separate steps. I've virtually driven for years on Google Street View, but the rest of the process then was so manual, so time consuming, so disjointed. To have it all streamlined together and simple, both on my desktop, which I appreciate, being a little old fashioned as a desktop laptop user, but then on my app as well. So on my phone, when I'm driving around, it's easy. Then I can sit back at my desk and just go through everything I did. I find the software phenomenal.
Love it, man. Yeah, I'll make sure the team knows you said that too. We're always, it really, that truly is what motivates us. The customer, like, again, the customer reviews and the ratings and all of that is something we share with our team every day, and make big goals to make sure, hey, we're doing the best we can, and always evolving the product by listening to our customers and doing that. So really appreciate that. I know a couple of quick questions here. I see Juan, you signed up and only have the 2-user version. So to get the upgrade one, Juan, and this is for everybody on here, consider me a direct resource too. I'm just matt@dealmachine.com. So I just threw my email in there. Juan, if you email me directly, I can help you out there and make sure that you get hooked up with the like this big discount here. So let's see. You also asked about other apps. We do have an open API for anyone who's more technical. And then we also have Zapier, like you threw in the chat there. So Zapier.com, we integrate, it's a way to automate doing actions in Deal Machine and connecting other apps as well. So it's like, oh, if I add a lead in Deal Machine, it exports to this spreadsheet. It's a service to do that. We do have that. So if you do Zapier, Zapier.com, you can check that out too if you're a little more technical. See, what did I say about sending a postcard every 21 days? So Brian, yeah, every 21 days is the automatic default inside Deal Machine when you hit start mail. 6 to 12 times, so repeating that every 21 days, 6 to 12 times is the ideal campaign to put you in front of the seller and give you the highest chance of them calling you back. So, and for the, I mean, if you have the budget, I'd say go forever if it's a great lead. But if you want to optimize your budget, I'd say 6 to 12 months is ideal. Is there a referral system for Deal Machine? Zachariah, can you define that? Do you mean like dispoing the lead, like referring the lead to a cash buyer, or?
Referrals, like transferring leads to different people.
Oh yeah. So you can go in and there's let's see. I mean, really any lead you can go in and be able to say, like I can click this button and you can actually go to lead actions and then export leads. So you can pull them out, send it, export them to anybody else. You can also go in, there's a lead owner right here. So you can click on that lead owner. And if I have other people on my team, I can assign it to them that way. I can even assign tasks to them too. So if I go into my tasks and create a new task, I can assign it to me or to Elliot on my team right here. So, there's a couple different ways you can kind of like use teamwork like that.
So can you download it as a PDF? Because I drive on my bike sometimes instead of doing, I ride my bike sometimes in the area instead of doing driving. So can you send it as a PDF also?
Yeah, you can do it as a CSV file, which is like a Excel sheet essentially. And then I think you can convert that to a PDF. So it's not direct, but you can get there. So hopefully that helps. But
Cool. Matt, I'll also mention, I appreciate that that deal on the annual is phenomenal. I appreciate the traction special. I'm not announcing the details of it yet, but you asked me to put together a special package. I'm going to put in a bunch of extra goodies for anyone that uses the traction as well,
awesome.
either on the monthly or either on the annual. I'll get you specifics of it afterwards. I think you guys know when I put together packages, they're awesome. So it's going to be an awesome package. I don't have the details for you yet. It'll be out there. So anyone that is already on board with Deal Machine through the traction link or uses it tonight on either of those offers, you'll get that as well.
Love it. Yeah, I'll go through and make sure I can easily export everybody who purchases this or uses the other link, and make sure that you can send off everything to them. So all the freebies. Yeah. Awesome. Gloria, you said, look forward to being one of the success stories. When you do, reach out to me, matt@dealmachine.com. Like I mentioned, we've had 10,000 plus deals done through Deal Machine, but 150 interviews on YouTube as well, and love to feature anybody on our YouTube channel too. So would love to give you all a spotlight once you land that first deal, and just use me as a resource to be able to get in touch. So the plan featured on the 7-day trial, you can try out any of the plans on 7-day trial, Brian. So hopefully that answers that. And then what if you want to change the interval? You also, Chad, you can also customize the interval of the mailings as well. So it's default 21 days, but you can change that to once every 2 months or however often. The best pro tip I can give there is 21 days helps you go almost once a month, but it's a different time of the month, right? If it's 21 days. So that does help in case they, for whatever reason, ignore their mail a certain week of the month, whether it be like just maybe they travel or whatever the reason might be. And then if you want to lengthen that, then maybe try every like 35 days or 40 days. So that we have the same effect of, roughly once a month, but it's a different time of the month every month. Let's see, one says market fail. It's expired listing. So that's actually a quick filter. So that highlights feature I showed you, let me jump into here. So that highlights feature, and list builder too, you can pull a list of this as well. But if you hit highlights, you have a ton of MLS data to work with. So you can go in here and say, show me, certain days on market, show me, let's see, market status, and say, hey, recently failed, or you also have a quick filter of expired listings, which is the same thing. So just hit expired listings, which means it's recently failed for whatever reason, it was on market and then they took it off, never sold. You can apply those highlights. And it looks like there aren't any around me that fit that. Let's see. Oh, we got 2 over here. So you can see, those are properties that fit that particular filter. So cool.
Awesome.
I think looks like that's it.
Fantastic, Matt. That's a fantastic walkthrough. I think that's dipping our toe in the water really nice, but I encourage everyone to give it a shot. That's what the free trial is all about. So, and then if you want that ridiculously good deal, I mean, half off, I wasn't expecting that. So I'm quite happy. I thank you very
Absolutely.
much. It's phenomenal. I mean, I think it's already excellent value, but at half price, then it's an obvious no-brainer.
Awesome. Thanks again. Really appreciate everybody. Again, just feel free to use me as a direct resource. matt@dealmachine.com is my email. And, thanks again, Tom. Great,
Cool.
great.
You're very welcome. Thanks,
Yeah.
Matt. Gang, I put those links back in the chat as well, so check them out, use them, and then I'm going to bring up Charlie Einsmann. Charlie, where are you? Let's get you to, we'll add you to Spotlight, and you should be able to share your screen as well. So guys, look, Matt walked us through how to find an excellent way of finding deals, right? Driving for deals, or biking for deals, or jogging for deals, or strolling for deals, right? Whatever it takes. It's an excellent source because you're out there, you're finding the properties, you're bringing them in. Now, when you got them by using Deal Machine, how are you going to put the deal together financially? What if you need money to do the flip? What if you need money to invest in a multi-unit? Where does all that come from? How do you put the money together? And particularly in a creative environment, the more and more creative environment that we're heading into. That's why I want to have Charlie Einsmann telling you all about how to put finance together the right way. Where do you find the money in this type of market? Right, Charlie? I think that's
Yes,
kind of an
sir.
important topic for these days.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everybody.
Hi.
You know, what a fantastic evening to have the two most important parts of this business, right? Number one is finding the deals. And then once you find the deals, well, how do you get the money? How do you get the money for the deals? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. Tom, I think I got one participant could share at a time. I'm having a hard time sharing my screen.
Hang on a second. You are. I don't think anyone else is sharing. Let's see.
All right. Can you guys see?
It says it's starting up.
Okay.
I don't see anything yet, but it's starting up. Not sure why. Let's see here. Try again, Charlie. Let's see. Just hit your share screen button. Let's see what happens.
All righty.
There we go. Now I got it.
You guys got it?
I see it.
Okay. So let me start off by saying I've done this presentation a bunch of times, but what I had to do because of the market changes in the last 3 months, I revamped the entire presentation to talk to you guys about where and how to find the money during a market down cycle. And if you guys don't realize that we're in a market down cycle, we've been in one since September. Once the Fed started raising rates, it changed the entire marketplace as far as we're concerned, as far as residential real estate is concerned. Who am I? For you guys that don't know me, I'm Charlie Einsmann. I've got a variety of experience in residential real estate, over 25 years, of which 20 years of that is strictly investment real estate. I pretty much spent all my time managing assets. I either manage all of our loans that we do on the hard money side. I manage our rentals. I manage the fix and flip portfolio that we have. I manage some commercial properties. And so I do a lot of stuff. But primarily, we are a hard money lender. And the funny part of this whole presentation is that I probably won't even get to the section on hard money lending. So I will try and keep it pretty quick on some of my topics. And so what I want you guys to do is, I really don't see the chat. And so if you guys want to ask questions, Tom, if you don't mind reading off the questions, but what I want to do is at the end of each topic, then you guys can ask questions, because I've got about 7 or 8 topics I want to go over. Clear Sky Group, who are we? We've got 3 companies: Clear Sky Properties, LLC, Clear Sky Financial, and Clear Sky Holdings. Clear Sky Properties, we fix and flip about 2 or 3 houses a month. I primarily get my houses at the courthouse steps or from smaller wholesalers or, residential real estate agents who refer me deals. We have a rental portfolio of about 50 properties. They're all residential, townhouses, single-family homes, 1 or 2 condos. We own an industrial parking lot where we park semi-truck trailers. It's about a 3-acre truck yard that we built and developed. Another one of my companies, Clear Sky Financial, is my hard money arm. Currently, we have about $35 million on the street, DC, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, and Florida. We have a 506B fund, 506C fund for investors, and then Clear Sky Holdings. We primarily do tax lien certificate investing within that company, and we do own a tire shop and an auto body shop as well as one of our commercial properties. So what we're going to do is talk about financing in this marketplace for investment properties. So what defines an investment property? It's either a fix and flip. We have financing for wholesalers. It's called a transactional funding. That's where you want to maybe hide your contract assignment fee. And so what you do is you bring us in there and we do maybe a 24-hour or a 12-hour loan. You buy it, double close, you sell it to your cash buyer, and then you're in and out. What that does is that shields the seller of the property that you're buying from your gigantic wholesale fee, and it helps keep the deal together. We've done a bunch of those. It's also for buy and holds, condo conversions, bridge financing, and cross collateralization. So this is what I'm going to talk about today. It's not your standard, you're a retail buyer, you're buying through a realtor, you're getting a conventional loan, you're closing a deal. That's not what this is. This is totally strictly around investment properties. Okay. Bob Hope once said, a bank is a place that will lend you money only if you prove that you don't need it. So those that need money, how many of you guys have ever gotten turned down? And guys that don't need the money, banks actually call you. Now let's talk a little bit about the current economic environment. What are we in right now, guys? We're in a high inflation environment. The feds have raised rates 4 times that what we call the magic 75 number, 0.75%. That has never happened since the 1970s, and we did it 4 times this year. We're expecting one more rate increase this year at 0.5%. What does that mean to you guys out there in layman's terms? Well, it means that interest rates are rising on a 30-year fixed mortgage. They're hovering right around 7%. We haven't seen rates as high as 7% since March 2002. Housing sales have dramatically slowed. I'm talking about the DMV, but I would gather to say I'm probably talking about most of the country. There are some subdivisions that don't have much inventory and the product is moving. Office space availability. I don't know why we haven't had an office space crash yet. Stay tuned, maybe because the owners of these office buildings have deeper pockets and they can hold on to these underperforming assets for a while, but I'm expecting an office space crash here soon. The number of foreclosure filings is way up. However, one of the positive signs to this marketplace is that we still have a low residential inventory environment. So that's something to keep in mind, because when people are talking to you about the 2008, 9, 10 crash, I don't see it happen. I see us going down maybe 5 or 10%. Interest rates will start going up, market will level off, people get used to the higher interest rate environment, and then I don't see us going down further than that. But that's my prediction. So in order to understand this presentation, you're just going to have to understand the current economic environment that we're in. So like I said earlier, I revamped this entire presentation to go over financing in the current marketplace. All right. Now, the money sources that I'm going to talk about, cash. You guys are probably wondering, well, what the heck does this guy need to talk about cash? I already know what cash is, but I'm going to go over some techniques on how you need to use your cash wisely. The next topic will be traditional mortgages. You guys probably know what that is, but I'm going to go over some techniques that you want to use in this marketplace to get you lower interest rates. And I'll go over FHA and VA assumable loans, which you want to stay tuned for that. I'll cover owner financing, subject to mortgages, DSCR loans, which are debt service coverage ratio loans, HELOCs, soft money, and hard money. So I'm going to try and cover all of these money sources within a very short period of time. So let me get moving on that, and I'll see if I can cover this within an hour time. I am kind of watching the time closely, so I'll try and be fast. Okay, topic 1. Cash definition. We all know what cash is, right? But what it is, it's the ability to use cash to purchase real estate. Why do we want to do that? Because in a lot of cases, especially if you're buying a pre-foreclosure, you might only have about maybe 3 to 5 days to actually close the deal. So having a bank ready with cash in it, where you can go to that bank and draw a cashier check, that will actually put you ahead of the game. There's been many times where we've had to close deals on the pre-foreclosure side, where we've had to close deals in 48 hours or less. And it's one of those properties where the foreclosure auction might be on a Wednesday. You get on a contract on a Sunday or Monday, but you're going to have to close it that Tuesday before the foreclosure sale. So cash is very important, right? So obviously cash is the easiest form of financing. Advantages to cash: quick to close, ability to win the deal. Disadvantages: obviously it's not scalable, non-leveraged return. You might have a lost opportunity in other deals because you pretty much used up all your resources. And it's also very difficult for new investors. Now, this chart is basically showing you, as the bottom line is showing, as you mature as an investor, you will end up building your cash and investment reserves, right? When I first started, I had a really good job, high-paying job. I got an engineering degree. I had a technology job making a lot of money, and I had great credit. Well, one of the things that I didn't have when I was 25, 26 years old is I didn't have any cash, right? I really didn't have any built-up investments. But what I did have is I had a lot of credit cards. So I had those gold cards, right? So I had, $10,000 limits, $20,000 limits. And so what I would do is I would keep track of my little book. Well, how much gold card limit do I have? Or I could show up to a bank, draw down on my gold cards. Well, at one time I had about $300,000 in cash. Well, not in cash, but I had $300,000 built up in gold cards. Well, my first purchase as an investor was a pre-foreclosure property with no money. And so I picked it up for $120,000. It was worth $200,000, but I had to close it in less than a week. So what did I do? I went to the bank. I drew down 120 grand on my credit cards. Now, the dangerous part of that is that it cost me about 3% to pull that money down. So me pulling 120 grand down, I had to pay 3% of that cash advance fee. So I had to pay $3,600. But I did use my credit card reserve to buy my first pre-foreclosure. So you can't lose sight of that. All right. So as you get older, you get personal line of credit, you get HELOCs, you get cash investments. So you build up your cash cachet, so to speak. And so one of the biggest reasons why I brought up the term cash is because you guys as investors, it doesn't matter whether you're a newbie investor or whether you're a sophisticated investor, you have got to be able to determine your liquidity quotient, right? So what is liquidity? Well, liquidity is the amount of money that you have on hand that you can go to the bank tomorrow and pull down. Your liquidity could be zero. It could be 50 grand. It could be 100 grand. What you need to do is you need to calculate your liquidity once a month, once a quarter. It all depends. It just depends on how often you're changing your environment. I pull liquidity a couple times, right? My businesses pull liquidity. We pull it daily because we're in the hard money environment. And we've got about 35 million out there, and I've got a lot of deals coming in. I've got to know which deals are paying off, which deals are going out, how much money I have in the bank. So as a hard money lender, we're actually assessing our liquidity almost on a daily basis. As a person, before I got into all this, I was probably calculating my liquidity once a quarter. But I was always calculating it because I might have been, when I was a younger investor, I might have been getting a new credit card. I might be getting a new HELOC on a property that I owned. I might be coming out of a property where I'm selling a fix and flip. Guess what? I have a bigger cash component. So as I got more and more mature as an investor, I don't calculate my liquidity that often. Right now, I might calculate my liquidity maybe once a year. I still calculate it, but maybe once a year. And the reason behind that is I don't really do that much individual investing anymore. I mean, everything around me is built around our companies. Okay. How do you calculate your liquidity? This is very, very important, you guys. Liquidity is basically cash on hand plus HELOCs. I've got another section on HELOCs later. Basically, it's home equity lines of credit, credit card availability, right? Be careful here. Use your credit card availability for investments. Do not use it to waste on consumables. Don't spend it. Other bank relationships, which are unsecured. That could be personal lines of credit. It could be other things from a bank, right? Borrowing power against your brokerage accounts. And money raising ability from friends. Be careful, right? You don't want to borrow too much from friends and family, but in case you have a rainy day and you need money, maybe write down a couple of contacts that you have who might be willing to lend you money in the last minute. That's really important to keep track of that. All right. What do I compute for my liquidity these days? Obviously cash on hand. right? I have a bunch of cash accounts that are just sitting there. My bankers always go to me, especially Wells Fargo. They always go, Mr. Einsmann, why do you keep so much cash on hand? You know, you can get a much better interest rate if you put into a CD. And my response is always the same. I need to have pockets of cash so that I can come in tomorrow and pull it, because the value of me not getting a high interest rate is traded in return for that quick investment that I might need to make. So I have cash on hand. I have HELOCs. I've got a couple of HELOCs. And the way you guys want to use HELOCs is that whenever you buy your own primary residence, make sure that once that equity goes up, you attach a primary HELOC on your house. And then if you move from that house and you buy another house and you keep that house as a rental, keep that HELOC out there, because you never know when you might use it. I also have credit card availability. I don't really do that anymore. I haven't done that in probably 17 or 18 years, but I do have credit cards if I need to tap into it. I haven't done that since I was much younger. I do have a lot of bank relationships. Most of my bank relationships though are with community banks. We'll get into that later. Borrowing power against brokerage accounts. I do have a huge line of credit against my brokerage accounts in case I need it. I don't really raise much money from friends anymore, but that's probably something that you guys want to look into. All right, so that's cash. Tom, any questions on cash? Let me see if I can.
So I hit the wrong button. No, we have, what about cash value in the whole life insurance policy?
That's fine too, as long as you know what you can borrow against. So you have a cash feature, right? On that kind of a policy, you have two things, right? You have a cash feature, how much cash you have, but then how much you can borrow against it. So you got to really know that. You know, I probably wouldn't tap out on that cash unless you really, really had to. But yeah, you can do that.
Gotcha. And
I should probably add that.
who can we get a HELOC through on a current rental?
Oh, that's a great question. Before the credit crunch started about 3 to 6 months ago, what I would do is I would go to my local community bank, and I'll get into exactly what a community bank is. Depending upon where you live, let's say I'm on the Virginia side, right? We've got Freedom Bank of Virginia, we've got Burke and Herbert, we got Sandy Spring, we got Fauquier Bank, we got a lot of smaller banks. I would look there first. If you have a credit union and you have an investment property, I would try that. Now your credit unions are going to give you lower interest rates than a community bank, but a community bank is more of a handshake relationship kind of thing. So I would start with my community bank.
Okay, terrific. And Michelle's asking, is it a good idea taking a HELOC on a personal home, or isn't that considered mixing business and personal funds?
No. Always take it on your personal home. And the reason why you want to take it on your personal home is because the banks are less stringent on their on what they'll lend against. So sometimes banks can lend up to 90% of your house's value minus your first trust, and then give you HELOC for that. Other banks are 80%. So on your primary residence, I would definitely do it, right? Because all it's doing is putting a checkbook against your house. Now, what you want to do with that checkbook, though, once you get the HELOC in place, I would just put it somewhere like in a safety deposit box, or your whatever. If you got a safe at your house, or if you got the manila folder where you keep important documents like your passport, I would keep it there. And just remember, though, you've got to be disciplined, right? Do not use it for consumables. I would not do that. I would use it for investment purposes, because there is nothing wrong with investment debt. There is something wrong with consumer debt. So just be very careful.
Gotcha.
All right.
What LTV do you need to have? Last one. What LTV do you need to have to get a HELOC? Do you know?
Well, it just depends on the borrowing environment. Banks were offering up to 90%, but I think because higher interest rates and they're, maybe they're going through a little bit of a credit crunch, they'll usually lend up to 80%.
Right,
and so what I would try first, though, like I said, I would go to your primary bank where you keep all your money, right? Go there first. Go to a credit union second, right? Because where you keep your money is where you probably have your relationship. A lot of times what I've done is on my HELOCs, I've gone to credit unions where I've had no money, because credit unions are more aggressive on what they'll do on HELOCs. So I got a HELOC with Apple Federal Credit Union. I then made that into my depository bank as well. So, it just all depends, but that's what I would do.
Would you still put a HELOC on the property that if you've got it rented out or under a like a lease option or anything on a rental?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
For sure, because the whole idea behind a HELOC is so that you have the checkbook sitting out there, so that in case you have a liquidity event, right? Let's say that pre-foreclosure came up that you want to buy, but you got to buy it in 3 days. in case that good investment came up, but you got to be careful, right? I mean, real estate is actually simple. I mean, let's say I've got a house that's worth 400,000. There's a house coming to the courthouse steps and they only got a 221st trust and the seller is willing to sell it to you at 250, but you got to close in 2 days. That's a pretty good conservative investment, right? It's 250. You're buying it for it. The house is worth 400. So even if the market goes down 10%, you're still buying at 250 and it's still worth 360. That's a pretty conservative investment. So I would definitely tap into those kinds of vehicles when you're making that kind of investment. Now, would I go and buy Twitter? No, I wouldn't go buy Twitter with my HELOC. As a matter of fact, I might short it, but I wouldn't do that, right? Because would I buy crypto? No. So you just got to make sure that your liquidity for your investments is on a rock solid investment. And the only thing that I know that's pretty rock solid is residential real estate, as long as you buy into a pretty good equity position.
Gotcha.
All right.
Go for it. Thanks,
All
John.
Topic 2, traditional mortgages. Okay, I know most of us know what a traditional mortgage is. And the reason why I put this in here is because I want to talk about the FHA VA assumable components. And I will do that in further slides. Now, basically traditional mortgages are for owner occupant properties, right? It's up to the buyer's intent, but mostly they're for owner occupants. Now, before the interest rates started spiking, the conventional product was the best product to get because it had not only the lowest interest rate, but you were required to make the lowest down payment. So that's why they were useful. You would go ahead and buy your primary residence. Once you've lived there for 4, 5, 6 years, you might want to keep it as a rental, and then you move and buy another house, use yet another conventional mortgage with another cheap interest rate. That's basically how I started my investment career. Even though I bought that one townhouse with all credit card debt, right? I then turned around and refinanced it with a mortgage, paid back all my credit cards. So now I had, remember, I bought it at 120, it's worth 200. I refinanced it at about 130, but I still had a pretty good equity position. I then went ahead, once the market went up a little bit, it went up to 250. I then put the HELOC on that house. And so that's how I did it for that. Conventional mortgages come in different shapes and sizes on the traditional side. It's basically for 1 to 4 unit properties. It's basically for owner occupants. However, you can use it for investment purposes and you can only get 10 loans. And it used to be 6 with the same bank. So you can have 10 mortgages on your credit report, right? And typically it's a 30-year AM schedule. Now, what's the qualification process for a traditional mortgage? There's a lot of paperwork, right? Income verification, credit check. They care about debt coverage ratios for you. And they also care about debt coverage ratios for the property. So there's going to be a lot of qualification there. Closing process, disclosure timing, document delivery timing, and funding timing. So it could take, 45 days, especially on a VA or an FHA loan or even USDA loan, which stands for United States Department of Agriculture. Those are for the loans in the rural areas. It could take them 45 days to do a loan. If you're a conventional loan with 20, 25% down, they can close those guys in 15 days. So it all depends. And so if you're buying an investment property, this might not be the quick fix scenario for you, but it was the cheaper interest rate scenario before the interest rates started going up. Now, one of the things I want to cover is, and the reason why I put this in my presentation, and these next 2 slides are brand new, is that you guys can do what's called an assumable loan on both VA loans and FHA loans. A VA loan stands for Veterans Administration. A lot of times when you go and buy a house with a VA loan, you have to be retired military. You have to have your VA status. Now, when you assume a VA loan, you do not have to be military. As a matter of fact, they don't even care about that. Okay. But when you're assuming the loan, you're going to have to go through a lengthy qualification process with the loan servicer. There's an income verification, there's credit score, there's down payment, and there's also, they're going to charge you a 0.5% VA funding fee to assume the loan. Now, you guys are probably going to ask me, well, why do you want to assume a loan, guys? Because in the last 7 years or so, what happened to their interest rates? They are very, very low, right? I'm talking 2.75% all the way up to 3.75%. So as an investor, You need to find out when you're buying the house, if you're gonna fix and flip it or even keep it as a rental, the Bird method, right? You want to find out what the underlying mortgage is. Because if it's a VA loan or an FHA loan, guys, the assumption is back. The power of the assumption, I can't reiterate how powerful that is. So that is really good. Now, the downside on a VA assumption is that the seller VA entitlement does not go away. So as a VA borrower, you're only allowed 2 houses to buy, but you're only allowed a certain amount of money that you can borrow against it. So unless the person assuming the loan is a veteran, then your entitlement comes back to you. But odds are, if you're an investor, you might not be a veteran, so your entitlement doesn't go away. So as long as you understand that. If you're assuming a VA loan and you're getting a good investor deal, you're probably going to have to come up with a down payment, because if the house is worth, let's say, I don't know, let's use the same $400,000 example again. If the house is worth $400,000 and they owe $300,000, but their interest rate is 2.75%, and they took the loan out 5 years ago, you might need to buy that house for $320,000, $330,000. So you might need to come up and give them a $30,000 down payment, but you had just assumed a loan 5 years into the 30-year and at a very, very low interest rate. So there's a lot of power to that. So don't lose sight of that. Okay, which brings me to the next assumption that's out there, and that's called an FHA assumption, right? And so there's a lot of different kinds of loans out there. There's FHA, Federal Home Agency. We all know what that is. There's also VHDA, which I'll talk about that in a later discussion when we talk about an VHDA subject too. But on the FHA, it's pretty much similar to a VA assumption, where you're going to have to go through a qualification process. Income verification, you're going to have a FICO score. Right now it's 600 and above. They will check that. Let's see, on a loan before 1986, there's no restrictions on assumability. How many of those loans are still out there? Probably zero. Post 1986, lender participation is required. What that means by lender participation is that it's a two-pronged approach. You got to get approved by your loan servicer, and then you're going to have to get FHA approval as well. Again, if you got a good deal, it's a low interest rate, you might have to put down a little bit of a down payment to make the deal work for the seller. Okay. Oh, but the seller on both the FHA assumption and the VA assumption, once you assume those loans, the seller's liability comes off the record. You then go on the loan and you're liable for the loan, which is a little bit different than subject twos, which I'm going to get into that in a minute. All right. Advantages, traditional mortgages. It used to be the interest rates, but now that the interest rates are climbing, maybe not so much anymore. However, the assumption part of this is the advantage, right? Because if you can buy a property, especially on the BRR method, if you can assume a VA or an FHA loan and you can get that really great interest rate, that's money in the bank. The interest rate is money in the bank. You're going to get maximum leverage by using these loans. Less cash out of your pocket. VA is 0% down payment. FHA is 3.5%. Some conventionals are 5%. I know Navy Federal Credit Union was offering a conventional loan at 0%. Not sure if they're still doing that. So you're going to get maximum leverage with a traditional mortgage at a lower interest rate. Disadvantages is, guys, documentation. There's a limit on how many mortgages you can have. I said it's up to 10 with 6 at the same bank. Length of time to close, these things, like I said, 30, 45 days. And it does not include a renovation budget. So if you're buying a property and you're assuming a loan from somebody, you're going to have to probably put in your renovation costs on your own. All right, any questions?
Let's see here. It's just saying great. Didn't know about assumable loans. Awesome. Principal pay down accelerated. Great point. Rates. Do 10 mortgages on your credit reports flag you as a dealer on your tax return?
As what?
As a dealer.
No, because the IRS isn't pulling your credit.
Cool.
But you want to, obviously, just like anything else, you want to disclose as much as you can. But the IRS is going to know that you have, I'm assuming if you have 10 mortgages, my guess is 8 of them are going to be investment properties, right? Because you might have your primary residence, you might have a HELOC showing up on your credit report, and then you got to go to the property. So they're rentals and they're going to go on your Schedule C. So they're going to know that you've got rental properties. And so then you're going to expense it out. So you're going to have the interest expense, right? And all the banks are going to be sending you 1098s. So, so yeah, I don't know a little bit. They know more than you might want them to know.
Cool.
All right. Owner financing. This is basically another great form of financing, especially in a higher interest rate scenario, right? It's basically where the owner owns the property outright. You go and make a deal with the owner and buy it from them and have them carry a mortgage. It's got a lot of advantages for the owner because the capital gains tax gets deferred. It's more of an installment contract, so they pay every year on the interest. So there's a lot of, like I said, benefits to them. The benefits to you is you guys can negotiate whatever term you want to negotiate. The AM schedule, you can negotiate the interest rate, you can negotiate the down payment, you can negotiate a balloon if there is a balloon. A lot of times when we find properties that are owned outright, we'll make them 3 offers. If I'm going to keep it as a rental, I'll make them a cash offer, which is the lowest of the 3. I'll make them a offer that assumes we're going to get financing with the community bank, which I got to put 25% down. And then I'll make them a 90 to 100% offer of what the house is worth, provided I could get 0% financing. And you guys ask, well, why would you give somebody, if you're an investor, why would you give somebody 100% or 90% of what the property's worth if that's what they want? Well, if I could get that 0% interest rate and I know that I'm going to rent it out, then guess what, guys? All of the rent and all the payment that I'm making him is going to go directly to principal. So it doesn't matter. And so if you do an AM schedule over, let's say 15 years, guess what? 15 years, you own the property outright. Who really cares what you bought it for? It just depends on your strategy, right? And so there's just a lot of different ways to use owner financing. Now, the problem with that is that, let's face it, guys, there's not, well, I guess there's more and more people that probably own their houses outright. And the reason why I say this is that a lot of people have owned their houses for a long time. But if you guys go back to 2008, 9, and 10, what was going on? Who were the buyers in 2009 and 10? The under 250 space, especially in DMV, they were mostly cash buyers. And a lot of those guys still own those houses. So they would fit this model perfectly if they decided to go sell. So this is another really good vehicle. What are the advantages, right? Number one advantage is interest rates, right? Because we are in such a high interest rate environment. And let me tell you guys something. These interest rates are going to go higher before they go lower. And so as each of these interest rates ticks up, the market, it impacts a buyer's ability to purchase a house in this market, which eventually is going to level off the market. And it's going to take prices down, right? Because they can only afford so much. And so the advantages is interest rates. There's no application documentation. You're dealing directly with the owner. He probably doesn't want to see no application. He might ask for it. I've never had anybody ask me for an application, an owner. Matter of fact, when I go buy houses all cash, they never even ask me for a proof of funds. So they're surely not going to ask you for an application. Minimal flexible down payment. You can negotiate that. Like I said, the advantages are the owner avoids capital gains. It then becomes an installment contract. Once that loan gets paid off, let's say you go and refinance it, then they've got to bring a current on the capital gains. Fast closing, cheaper closing, right? Because obviously you're probably going to negotiate no points, right? No lender fees, because these owners aren't sophisticated enough to charge points and to charge owner fees. As a matter of fact, they're not even going to charge you an appraisal fee because you're probably not even going to get an appraisal. And so the disadvantages are they're hard to find. It could be a short-term loan because most owner finance deals, especially if you're dealing with an older seller, unless they're gonna will it away to a family member, they're gonna want their money sooner than later. So they're gonna probably put a 5-year balloon on there or a 10-year balloon. So, but you can negotiate the balloon, right? Obviously the longer, so if you guys don't know what a balloon is, a balloon means if I have a 5-year balloon, then once the 60 months are up and you've made payments, that loan is due in full. That's what a balloon is. Okay, I'm sorry, I should have explained that just in case you guys don't know what a balloon is. So the balloon time frame is negotiable as well, but that could be a negative because especially let's say you got an owner finance deal 5 years ago and you have a 5-year balloon and that thing is expiring today. I don't think you want to borrow money today. You'd rather borrow the money 5 years ago. So you got to keep that in mind. All right. Any questions on any of this stuff? Oh, this is great. I'm rolling through this. I see I've got 20 minutes. I'll hustle up. All right. The next topic I want to talk to you guys about is something called subject to financing. And subject to financing is there's going to be so many more deals in the next 2 or 3 years on subject to financing than we've ever seen. And the reason is because we're in a higher interest rate environment. Remember when I told you guys at the beginning of this presentation, I revamped this entire presentation to fit the current market right now. And so this is one of the new additions to the presentation. What is subject to? A purchaser investor takes the rights to the title of the property while the seller's existing mortgage stays in place. This is not the same thing as an assumable mortgage because you are not going through an approval cycle. The title transfers, so you become the owner. The deed of trust and the promissory note stays, or the mortgage, depending upon what state you're in, stays in the current owner's name. They do not get released from the debt. As a matter of fact, the bank or the servicer that's servicing that loan does not even know about a subject to deal. Okay, nor are you required to disclose it. Now, the purchaser / investor simply just takes over the payments, right? It's the same thing as an assumable. You make the deal. There could be a down payment, right? Maybe there's not, but you should always give them something. You shouldn't just say, I'm going to subject to your house, now get out of my house. You should give them at least 5, 10, 20 grand, especially if you're getting a good deal. So you're gonna have to give them some walking money. And so I'll go through a live deal after this on a subject to. One of the pitfalls that you have to understand is that if the bank does find out, they do have a due on sale clause. Now, if you're an investor and you're buying a house, odds are you're probably getting a good deal. You're probably getting a good equity position. And as long as you're current on that mortgage, and I repeat this, I have never seen a bank call a subject to due on sale clause. Right? I've never seen it. That doesn't mean it can't happen, but I've never seen it. So those are pretty good odds. You know, just like I go to the attorney, I talk to my attorney. Remember, you talk to your attorneys, you guys are the boss. I say, okay, well, what are my odds on something bad happening? And, you know, every attorney is going to say, man, you know, I got a 95% chance this is going to be good. And I've got that 5% assurance that it might go bad. But I think you shouldn't do it because of this 5%. Well, you know what I say? I'm the boss. I'm doing it. I like my 95% odds. This has better odds than that. Like I said, I've never seen it happen. And I've been part of about, I don't know, probably 100, 120 subject to deals. Purchaser incurs no liability to repay the loan. Now, if there is a due on sale clause, people are actually offering an insurance product to cover the chances that a due on sale clause might happen. Now, I want to be in that business because I want to collect those insurance premiums, because that's probably not going to happen, because I'm sure one of the clauses in that insurance says you as the borrower are going to keep current on that mortgage, right? That's got to be one of the underwriting criteria of the insurance. So I would like to own that insurance company. When I found that out, I was like, I need to buy this company, because you're just collecting premiums and never having to pay anything out. What a great business model. All right, you guys got that? All right, now I want to cover a live deal example with you guys to help out so that you guys can actually see a live deal, so that you further understand this, because I have a feeling there might be a few questions. Here is I don't want to give the entire address of the property, just because I don't want, I guess you guys could probably figure it out, but 7XX Ripplebrook Drive, Culpeper, Virginia. Here's the background. It's a single family house, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. It was built in 1998. And this is key too, it's important too. It's in a cookie cutter subdivision. What do I mean by that? It's a subdivision. It's either townhouses, single family homes. It might have an HOA, but all the houses are very similar in style and design. And we all know what an HOA is, right? House was in pre-foreclosure. It was vacant, and it was an out-of-town owner. Guys, these check all the boxes, right? For your purchase criteria. This is exactly what we look for. Vacant, out-of-town owner. It might not be in pre-foreclosure, but a pre-foreclosure. The original loan was through VHDA. Now, it was $218,000. But what I didn't put on this chart, and there's a reason why I didn't do it, I didn't have enough room, is that there's actually a first trust at 213,500, 211,500, and the second trust at 6,500, right? Because you're making 2 payments on this VHDA loan because part of it is a grant, is like a down payment grant. But I just consolidated it for simplicity purposes. So let's say the first trust was $218,000 because I added both of them because there's actually 2 payments on this loan. The loan origination date was December 30, 2015. The interest rate was 3.75%. So the loan arrearages to bring it current was $44,002. And the current loan amount, once you brought the loan current, was $191,500. And oh, by the way, I didn't put this in here, but it was a 30-year AM schedule, which is really important when you're looking at subject twos, when you're looking at VA, FHA assumptions. You got to kind of know the AM schedule. Most likely they're 30 years. Okay, so I would rest my laurels that it's 30 years. By seeing a VHDA loan, I kind of know it's 30 years. So in this case, it's a 30-year AM schedule, even though I didn't put it in the chart. Okay, so once that loan was brought current, the loan amount was only $191,500. Now, look at the beauty of this thing, right? We are at that point in time, 11/8/2021, we're almost 6 years into the AM schedule. So this loan only has 24 more years left on it at 3.75%. Okay, keep that in mind because I'm going to ask you a question here in a second. The owner signed off on a deed for $10,000. So we gave the owner $10,000, right, to sign the deed. At the same time, we sent the substitute trustee a check or wire for $44,002, right? And that kept the mortgage in place. Okay. Now, I want you guys to do a quick math problem and tell me what the purchase price of this property is or was. And I'll give you a minute. That's all you're getting. Tom, are they answering the question?
Yeah, let me see. We got Juan saying 65,000. Marcella's saying 54,002. Eric saying 54K.
Now we're gonna have a lot of questions here, Tom. We're gonna have a lot of questions subject to.
Yep, 50K.
Did anybody say $245,502?
Yes.
Who?
It literally just came in, Diraj.
Diraj, I figured he'd get it right. That Diraj, man. Diraj, you're a smart guy. What I know is Diraj. Okay, let me explain. And this is why I'm covering this chart so you guys can understand this. Why did Diraj say 245,502? Well, the reason is, guys, you have to understand you still owe 191,500 for this property. There's still a lien on that property, right? So you owe 191,500. So the deal is 191,500 plus the 4402 to bring it current, plus the $10,000 you gave the owner to sign you over the deed. So your total purchase price is 245,502. Now, I think you guys were confusing the cash component versus the debt component. So whoever said 54,002, you're sort of right, but you're kind of right where you spent 54,002 out of your pocket in cash, right? And I'm going to go into one more question here in a second. So, but the total purchase price is 245,502. Now, let me explain to you the beauty of the deal. This is the beauty is coming up. The ARV is $375,000. That's what it was at the time, and that's sort of what it still is. Even though we went through a nice spring of 2022, we kind of hit the skids a little bit. So we kind of went up 10%, maybe went down 10%, or went up 10%, went down 5%. Doesn't matter. The ARV is 375. So you have just purchased a nice property with a $130,000 equity position, and it's now today a rental. And here's the reason why it's a rental. The loan payment PITI is $1,365. That's all it is. And the beauty is 3.75. But guess what, guys? Now I think the loan amount's only 24 years left on that loan. But you're $1,365. The rents over there are $1,950. So you're getting a positive cash flow of $585. Here's my last math question that I'm going to ask you. if you take the positive cash flow, what is the rate of return annually on the cash out of your pocket that you spent? I'm gonna give you one more minute. This is a little bit harder math problem, but you guys have got to understand this so you understand all these concepts, right? And then I'll walk you through it. Any answers? Tom, any answers?
Can you ask the question again, please, Charlie? A couple people are asking.
Tell me just the cash on cash rate of return of this rental property on an annualized basis.
Okay, cash on cash, annualized.
Well, I'm looking at these screens, Tom. These guys look like they're still awake.
They are
Y'all still awake?
good numbers. Jiraj says 13%.
See,
Gregory's
Jiraj.
saying 200%. Jennifer is at 12.9. Bill's saying 13% in year one.
there we go.
Srinivas is saying 13%.
There we go. Nope, don't care. Good. Yes.
No, 12.99 and 13 to 14%.
You guys are great. Now you're getting it. See, these are very important concepts, right? So the answer is actually 12.999518536355051.
Oh, goodness me, it's like pie.
So if you said 12.99, you were correct. If you said 13%, you're right on the money. So here's what I mean by cash on cash return. Now we're not taking the built-in equity. We're not taking that in context, because remember, on the equity side, there's two ways of deriving equity. Number one is the market appreciation, which we cannot count on. But that's one way of getting equity. Number two, you do have some principal pay down, but I'm not talking about that. All I'm talking about is how much money do I have in this deal on a cash basis? I've got $54,002, right? You guys see that? I spent 54. Now, the beautiful thing that I didn't tell you guys is that this house, the renovation on this house, was, I don't know, $5,000 to $10,000. So we're not including that for this purposes, but it was about 5 or 10. They just had to get it rent ready. All right. So now what you do is, you see where it says positive cash flow of 585. All you do, guys, is you simply multiply 585 times 12, right? So I multiply 585 times 12. So in this asset, I'm making $7,000 a year residual income. Now we do have some vacancy. We do have a little bit of maintenance. But remember, this house is built in 1998, so it ain't gonna be that bad. All right. So what I did is I divided $7,000 roughly, and I divided into $54,000, and I came up with a 13% return cash on cash. If you guys can make that kind of solid investment, would you do it? Of course you would. So that's the power of the subject to. That's the power of buying into value in real estate. And that's the power of having a renter pay down your debt for you. So this is a very powerful scenario. Now, the reason why I have this chart up is because guys, these kinds of deals are going to be happening more and more so, especially for you buy and hold investors. This is probably one of the things you want to attack, are these subject to deals. Now, when you do a subject to deal, you're going to have to get a certain title company to do the deal, and you're going to have a 1 or 2 page agreement between the buyer and the seller so that both of them understand the pitfalls. Mr. Buyer, you are on title, but there is a due on sale clause from the bank if they chose to do so. Pitfall. Pitfall from the seller. You are still on the loan. So you still are obligated to the loan. Now, odds are if it goes to foreclosure sale and the owner forecloses, is probably going to pay back all the debt anyway, so you're going to owe zero. But you're still on it and your credit's still getting reported to. Now, you should be happy because if somebody's paying your loan current, they're actually going to be helping your credit score. Okay, now, advantages, disadvantages, subject tos, interest rate, especially now. This is why we're bringing this up, especially in this economy. Terms of the existing note, right? Now we have 25 years left on that AM schedule, 24. That's powerful. There's no application documentation because remember, the bank doesn't know that you're doing the subject to. Minimal down payment, if any. In our case, the guy was living in New Jersey. We literally drove to New Jersey and did the deal in New Jersey. I already had the deed. He had already signed off on the deed, and so it was already notarized. And so we basically gave him $10,000 cashier check. We wired the $44,000 to the substitute trustee. Foreclosure auction canceled. Boom, done. Property's in your name. Disadvantages: bank can recall the loan on an ownership change. Yeah, they can. The former owner is still on the hook for the obligation. That's it. And those really aren't disadvantages. Maybe the owner, right? I mean, but it's helping their credit. But they're in a bad position anyway. Remember, we just saved a foreclosure. So it just depends. Be careful. Any questions, Tom, on that?
Take a look. What protects you from the seller coming back a few years later from suing you or possibly taking advantage of them?
Right. So that's why that 1 or 2 page document that's outside of your normal closing, it's in there. It's in there. You're gonna put that in there.
Gotcha.
All sides are of able mind and body. They know what's going on. They know the advantages. They know the pitfalls. That's why you've got to close this thing with certain title companies, and you need to find out who those title companies are. I obviously can recommend a couple in the DMV area, but if you're in other parts of the country, which you might be, especially down in Florida, you're going to have to go find out. I'm sure Tom and those guys know who the subject to title companies are, because you're going to have that legal document drawn up. That's part of your closing package, but it doesn't exist in any other closing package because it's not a subject to deal. So you just got to make sure that title company is very experienced with these kinds of transactions.
Gotcha. Charlie, do you change the property insurance company?
Great question. That is a wonderful question. And the answer is yes. And I'll tell you why. And this is another reason why the bank will probably find out about it. But if it's a big bank, they've got so many insurance changes, man, they're not going to keep track of that. Yeah. And the reason is because you need to put the mortgagee clause stays the same, but the beneficiary has to change. Because remember, in my previous example, it's a PITI deal. So taxes and insurance are being paid out of that 1365, right? But the insurance policy that's in place is getting paid. And so you're going to have to replace out the insurance policy in case of a fire or storm damage to the house, so that once the check comes out from the insurance company, you don't want it going back to the other owner.
Gotcha.
You want to be careful.
Shelby's asking, this deal does not require a realtor, correct?
No. You have to understand, guys. Okay, I need to caveat this. None of the deals that I will bring up ever do not have realtor involvement unless they referred me the deal. Okay, but you need to educate your realtors. I know there's a bunch of realtors on here on how to do these kinds of deals and how to find them, because you want to keep your realtors in your toolbox as referral sources. So if the realtors know about VA assumptions, if they know about FHA assumptions, if they know about subject to deals, oh my God, that's wonderful. They can bring them to you because they know you'll, and the only thing that you need to do for the realtor is that the cash component going into the deal has got to be enough to pay out the commissions, right? Because the realtors obviously don't want a commission. So this deal that I talked about, remember, there's only $10,000 new dollars really going into the deal, right? 44,000 went directly to the substitute trustee who brought the loan current, and 10,000 went to the owner. So you're going to have to leave some money in the deal for the realtor. So you're going to have to probably jack up your down payment. That's all. No big deal. Just
So
keep
as
the
long as we
realtor
take
involved.
care of,
Huh?
gotcha. Make sure you take care of the agent, and then they won't want to box you out.
Yeah, I see that I'm running short on time, guys. I'm going to cover one more topic quick, and I'll go right to the end of the presentation. All right, Tom?
That's cool.
So I'm not going to get to community bank, soft money. I'm not going to get to hard money, but I need to close out with at least this. Okay, the next type of loan is something called a DSCR loan. It's a debt service coverage ratio loan. And this is for buy and hold investors. And so the key qualification of the loan, though, is the income of the property itself, income producing properties. And so the methodology of a DSCR loan changes slightly if you're doing a yearly lease versus a Airbnb versus a VRBO. So the income qualification on the property is a little bit different for each one, but the income of the property is the key qualifier. It can be done on a single property or a portfolio of properties. We just got a DSCR loan from Sandy Spring Bank on 50 rental properties that we own. It was a big loan, but that was a DSCR loan. And we were lucky. We sort of got underneath the raising interest rate environment that we're out, thank God. And we were fortunate. They're pretty much LLC loans. They are going to require either a down payment if you're purchasing it or an equity position. If you have a good equity position, then they're not going to require a down payment. So if you bought that house that's worth 400,000, or the example that we used, if we went and refinanced our subject to, it's worth 375, we only owe 190 on it. that's going to fit that criteria. There's going to be no down payment required. There might be a 3 to 6 month interest reserve depending upon the bank. Currently, though, it's a 660 credit score or higher. And what they do, even though it's an LLC to LLC kind of deal, they're going to, the managing members, any managing members that are a certain ownership or more, if it's a 50-50 ownership, they're going to want to pull credit on both owners. It just depends on the ownership on whose credit gets pulled. The majority partner of the LLC is going to have to definitely get their credit pulled. You can also pick your AM schedule, 30, 25 year, 20 year, 15 year, etc. Obviously, the longer the AM schedule, the better it's going to cash flow. I don't know if they have a 40-year option, but I didn't put that in there. I'm not sure. And you can have multiple loans. A DSCR calculation. Remember, it stands for debt service coverage ratio. It's basically the property rents divided by the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. And I've got an A in parentheses. Those are association dues, condo dues, HOA dues. Not all houses have that, but if it does, it's going to factor into the DSCR factor. I got an example. If you're receiving $2,500 in rent, $2,000 payment, then your DSCR is 1.25. The higher the DSCR, the lower the interest rate. That's another interest rate barometer for these lenders. And there's no personal income requirement, but there is a credit check. Advantages, flexibility, multiple loans, multiple properties. There's no 10 loan limit, flexible AM schedule, interest rates, disadvantage, interest rates, credit score requirement. And that's it for that. I'm going to go directly to the end because I know I'm running out of time. Are there any questions on that, Tom?
There's a bunch of questions we haven't answered. Why don't you hit the last topic? And then
Okay.
I appreciate you cramming because I mean, this is a big presentation for an hour, but I don't mind staying longer. People are free to stay longer and I can clear through some of the questions.
Okay.
But let's hit topic 8 there or what?
No, topic 8. I'm going to go to my last slide.
Sorry, it was the last one I saw on the screen.
All right. Last slide, guys. Now, this is really, really important. And I wasn't going to not do this slide because what are your pre-recession actions? I think we're in a recession. It's my opinion. I've thought that for some time now. Not just because all the government numbers aren't saying we're in a recession. I think we are. Remember I said that? I think we were in one since September. So when we go back 6 months from now, they're going to say, oh, the recession started in September. Then you'll say, hey, that guy knows what he's talking about. Okay. First thing, what do you got to do, guys? You got to understand your liquidity. Whether you're doing it monthly, quarterly, annual, you better understand it. You better be keeping a balance sheet of all your assets, all of your liabilities, and you better be keeping an income statement. These are tools that you need to start doing if you're not already doing it. You got to maintain good credit. If you don't have good credit, now's the time to keep building it up. You got to increase your borrowing power, right? And what does that mean? That means go get a line of credit from the bank, go get a HELOC, go maybe get those gold cards I was talking about. Be careful. So increase your borrowing power and your liquidity, increase your savings rate, right? Increase these things. This is the time to do it. Loan products change during a recession. Did I say recession? I'm sorry. I'm already seeing them. There's a 2-1 buy down on the conventional side. A 2-1 buy down is basically it's a seller subsidy where the mortgage company is offering a 2-1 buy down. What that means is if the interest rate is 7%, 30-year fixed, year 1, they'll do a 5% rate. Year 2, they'll do a 6% rate. And then year 3 through year 30, it goes back to 7. What that enables your buyer to do is qualify at that 5% fixed 30-year AM rate, and it increases their buyability. That's called a 2-1 buy down. That's a conventional loan. Talk to your loan officer. They're coming out with 1-year, 3-year, 7-year ARMs. A little risky. You just got to understand the indice that it's against and the margin above that indice. But I'm seeing those products now. And you got to have multiple exit strategies with your properties, guys. I can't tell you how many properties people have bought in the last 3 to 6 months through me as a hard money lender, and they're having to turn around and either refinance them or rent them out or sell them for much lower prices than they thought they were going to get. So you've got to have multiple exit strategies. So you got to be prepared. I mean, we're in for turbulent times. And that's pretty much it. Like I said, I've got some other topics on here, but I wanted to get to the most important ones first. And you guys understand, I'm a hard money lender. I didn't even cover hard money lending. Just because in this environment, because of the rising interest rates, there's a lot of really, really good strategies that you guys have to understand before you worry about any soft money or hard money. Okay, that's me on there. Feel free to call or email. All right, questions?
Yeah,
Go
Charlie,
on.
yikes. That was fantastic amounts of stuff. I mean, that's a full day presentation and you delivered it in like an hour and 4 minutes, which is
Yeah,
pretty.
I cut a bunch of stuff off too.
That's well, maybe we'll have to get to that another day. Now, let me dig into some questions, and people are saying great presentation, wonderful presentation. We need Charlie to go back over what was missed. Yeah, great stuff indeed. So, and a lot of applause. So let me go back. I'm going to try to dig back.
I see one. Daraj asked a good question. Can a sub 2 be bought with a self-directed IRA?
Yes.
The answer is yes. However, when you're using the renovation and the down payment and the closing costs or whatever you're doing, it needs to come out of your IRA account. You can't commingle it. So just make sure you're careful about that. And then the owner becomes your IRA. And then when you make the payments, Daraj, it has to come out of your IRA checkbook. I'm assuming you have a self-directed IRA. Okay.
Got you. You're able to see the chat now, right,
I
Charlie?
can see it. Yeah, I got
Okay.
rid of my stuff.
So fire away and answer as you see fit.
All right, regarding hard money, what are your terms? Maria, you can send me an email. Right now, we're running average terms, 12%, 3 points. I lend up to 75% of the after repair value, so it doesn't matter what you bought it for. My loan to cost is the purchase price plus the renovation. I'm loaning between 90 to 95% loan to cost. I was lending at 100%. It just depends on the deal. If you got a great deal, I'll give you 100% everything if I like it. I mean, I've done that before too. So. Can you use a non-recourse letter? I mean, all the things that I'm talking about are non-recourse. Now, the VA and the FHA assumptions, they're going to be recourse. The subject to is not going to be recourse. You can, if you're buying an owner finance deal, just put a non-recourse in there. You know, just add that in there. But the FHA and the VA assumable are going to be recourse loans. That's all I kind of see, Tom.
Scroll up a bit, Charlie. You'll see quite a few.
Oh shit.
Somebody
somebody asked local banks for these loans. I don't know what that means. Local banks for what type of loans?
Shelby, if you're on, you can unmute and
yeah, what type of bank for what loans?
Yeah, that was for the last one that you presented, the DSC or whatever.
Oh yeah. I'll have to email me. Yeah, that's a good question. Email me. I got a couple banks I can refer it out if you need a DSCR loan. And that's not something we would offer, but I've got a couple good point of contacts that offer that. The only downside to a DSCR is, you know, you want to try conventional first. A DSCR is going to be a little bit more expensive than a conventional, so just keep that in mind.
Gotcha.
What's my email?
Zachariah's asking, yeah, well, I'll pop it in the chat as well. Feel free to pop it in there. You could type it faster than I could. Zachariah's asking, do you also ask the tenant to get it notarized as well, like it is with an investor or wholesaler?
I think that was for subject to.
Subject to, yeah.
Do you have what now?
To conversation. Do you ask that during the subject to conversation? Zachariah asked, do you also ask the tenant to get it notarized as well?
No, tenant has nothing to do with it. The tenant has different. There's just a normal lease.
Gotcha.
And that tenant just is abide by the lease. The tenant has no bearing in the ownership chain and the lien chain. It's not. Matter of fact, it's none of their business, right? So I mean, it's just a normal landlord-tenant lease. So they have no say in any of the stuff. Matter of fact, that if you buy it, the particular example I went over, it was vacant. But if you are buying a subject to with an existing tenant in there, all you need to do is make an addendum to the lease and put you on there as a new landlord and have the tenant sign an addendum to the existing lease, because I'm assuming you're going to be buying that house subject to the lease. I think
Gotcha.
that's what they're trying to ask, if there's an existing tenant in there.
Gotcha.
All right, guys. Anything else?
Yeah, Charlie, there's a few. You're welcome to stick around. You want to answer? You want me
Yeah,
to?
yeah. It's up to you, Tom. I've got.
Yeah, I'm cool. Again, people, if you got to bounce, that I understand. If you want to stay, because there was a lot of good questions, because there was a Charlie, it was a phenomenal.
Okay, Paul asked a pretty good question. DC does Washington DC does have TOPA rights, but I thought they relinquished the TOPA rights for the 1 to 4 space so that the tenants can hold that transaction as hostage. I'd have to look into that, but there are TOPA rights. But
I'm not sure at the moment.
I thought they relinquished that, but I could be wrong.
Also,
Send me an email on it. I'll have the answer tomorrow.
Yeah. Can you have your LLC act as manager of the property and added beneficiary to the policy without raising any red flags with the bank?
No, you gotta just add it as a beneficiary and get out a new policy. Or you can take that existing policy, add you as a beneficiary, but in order to add you as a beneficiary, you want to take the old owner off. I mean, that's the key. I mean, you can risk it and not change that existing insurance policy, because if it's a PITI loan, they're going to continue to pay the insurance policy. Every year, the insurance is going to renew automatically unless the owner cancels it. I mean, that could happen. The owner could cancel it, but I wouldn't do that. I just think that's too risky. I would just go and get a new policy and risk that. That's what I would do.
Gotcha. And Helga was asking about specific companies in Northern Virginia. Helga, I'll email Charlie directly for that. Because then
you can get a conventional loan under your LLC, but you're going to have to qualify under the managing members. So if you have let's say you have 2 managing members, 50-50, both managing members are going to have to qualify as well as the LLC. So you're going to have to go through an individual qualification process. Yeah.
Gotcha. And Charlie, Bob's asking, how did the owner get 44,000 in arrears?
Right. That's a great question. Foreclosure moratorium being one of them.
Yeah.
So they were 12 months, 13, 14 months behind. There are so many more owners that are so far way behind than just 12 months. And it's ridiculous how far behind they are. But in this case, yeah, they were 44. I don't think he paid the mortgage for $1,300, 44,000 divided by 1,300 minus fees, whatever the heck that is. 20 months. Maybe
Gotcha.
20. Yeah, he was 2 or 3 years behind. Anything else? That's all I see.
Yeah, as I'm scrolling back, some of these they're relative to what you were saying at the moment, so it's hard for me to figure out.
In what scenarios can you do a subject to deal with no money down? You can do it. You can do it. I mean, it's all negotiable, but if the owner or somebody is living in the property, you have to give the owner incentive to sign the deed, right? If I'm an owner and you're giving me 0, I might not sign the deed. Even though I'm in distress, I might let that thing go to foreclosure, because if it goes to a foreclosure auction, that loan amount is so small, you're going to get a full debt bid, and then the people at the auction are going to bid it way up, and then you're going to get the surplus cash coming out of the auction. And not too many owners know that, but I wouldn't do that. I've never heard of a subject to with no money down, but I'm sure it could be done. But you got to give somebody incentive to do something. So
Gotcha.
It doesn't say it can't be done. You always got to give some kind of walking money.
Gotcha. And Helga's asking, how do you find sellers that will not require a down payment?
Owner finance seller, look for the deals where they own the properties outright. There's just a lot of them are going to require a down payment. Now you could go, I don't know if you have VA eligibility. VA loans require no money down. Like I said earlier, Navy Federal Credit Union, which I believe is nationwide, offered I still think they do. I think they offer a conventional 0% down loan product, but the caveat is I believe the credit score has got to be 720 or above. So you can't be walking in there with a 640 or 650 to want to get a 0% down Navy Federal conventional loan. I think you're going to have to come at least a 720. But those requirements change all the time. Keep that in mind, guys. 2 things changing, right? Interest rates and the credit requirements of these lenders are changing too. What tool are you using to get a list of past due mortgages? A good question. The tool that I'm using are just basic substitute trustee ads in the newspaper. It depends on where you're at. If you're in a mortgage state, sheriff sales. If you're in a deed of trust state, it's trustee sales. They come out in public newspapers. There used to be NODs, notification of defaults, but that stuff doesn't really come out that often anymore. So really the trustee sale ads is the best way to know about delinquent mortgages. And usually those are posted about 4 or 5 weeks before the actual public auction. A different topic for a different day, but it's all good.
That works. What other ones you see in there, Charlie? I've scrolled back the best I could.
Is your LTC combined with ARV? No, LTC is separate than the ARV. The LTC number on hard money loans is separate than the ARV calculation. We have 2 calculations. We have an ARV calculation and we have a loan to cost calculation on the hard money side. If you sell a house subject to and has a HELOC, yeah. I mean, if it's a subject to and you're subject toing the first trust and there's a HELOC, you could subject to both of them. I wouldn't, you really got to understand the HELOC. And I would close that HELOC down, because let's say, for example, there's $100,000 HELOC. The seller owes only $50,000 on it. You're subject toing that HELOC and you're subject to in a first trust. Well, there's nothing that prevents that seller from rolling down the street and getting that additional 50. So you're going to have to make sure that HELOC gets termed out. That's a dangerous proposition, but you can do it. Like I said, you better term out that HELOC and then do a subject to on it.
Actually, do you have a list of these community bank products? Rhonda's asking.
I do.
Popped your email in there a couple of
Yeah,
times.
I do. I'll send it to you.
Charlie at seaskyfinancial.com.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically a fix and flip line, a buy and hold line. I've actually got a hard money loan with these guys. I've got a tax lien certificate line. So they offer a bunch of different lines, but it's a more thorough process to get approved. You got to have your house in order to deal with these community banks.
Gotcha. What terms would you offer for owner financing if there's a 75-year-old seller?
10-year balloon, 30-year AM, 2%. You can get away with it.
Sure.
1%. I mean, it's all negotiable. Just depends, because they're getting a principal part of that payment, which is going to be a lot more than the interest rate. What I would do, honestly, one of the things that I would do for a 75-year-old seller is I would say this. I would say, hey, Mr. Seller, how much monthly money income would you be happy with? Let them answer that question. And if that's good for you, then I would just build an owner finance loan around that answer. That's how I bought a trailer park. Same way, owner finance. I said to the guy, I said, how much money you want? He was a trustee representing a autistic owner. He goes, as long as Loretta can get $10,000 a month, that's all I want. And so I built a loan around $10,000 a month. It happened to be $1.2 million loan, but that's what we did. And we did that for 5 years. So I would do that.
So pinpoint the problem first and put together a package.
Yeah, solution.
Yep. Let's see. Charlie Helga's asking, you mentioned the seller would rather just foreclose and get a higher bid for the house, but wouldn't foreclosure really hurt their credit and impact their ability to get their next home?
It's already dinged up. Remember, in order for them to go to foreclosure, they're at least 3 to 6 months late on their mortgage, if not longer. And their credit has been getting beat up for a long time. So the foreclosure is going to put them out a little bit more, but I think it's a lot more valuable to get that extra cash from the auction than it would be to worry about some credit, because they're going to have to build it up again anyway. So it doesn't matter.
Gotcha. All right. Juan, yep, good point. Okay, so Charlie, I think we certainly worked you hard tonight.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Hope you guys learned something.
I think some things is probably more probably 100 or 2 things you managed to cram in there for. So fantastic. Awesome. Guys, grab Charlie's email out of the chat. We will wrap it up officially here. So I will say, start to say goodnight. Traction REIA. Remember, next month, what was it? Saturday, the 3rd of December. If you're in the DC area, anywhere within striking distance, even a couple-hour drive in. There's only 2 of these Home Depot facilities in the entire country. One's way out on the West Coast. We've got the one on the East Coast, so it's a nice special event that they're going to, provide breakfast and everything else for Traction members to see the design center with all the basically all the awesomeness. So if you're doing any sort of rehab or refurbishment for your own home or your rentals or rehabs you're working on, you'll get a real sense of what's out there and what's the current style and design-wise and everything that the Home Depot can offer you, including our fantastic discount and rebate programs that we've cut with them is really, really great. So RSVP for that, go to tractionrea.com. You'll see the event. And with that being said, we have a record of who was here. So I will give you your stamp of attendance, which is good. So if you have your frequent attendee card, fill it in with this date, we could obviously confirm it since it's electronic. Recording. Yeah, we're intending to put out this grant. I've had a lot of you ask for it. I think the easiest way is I've just once I have my team get it rendered and loaded, usually takes a day and a half or so. We'll get it up on the web and get it out there because I know I certainly want to watch Charlie's presentation again because there's just a lot of note taking and a lot of ideas and awesomeness in there. So we will get that recording out. So awesome. All right, gang, for November 2022, it's Tom Zeeb with Traction REIA signing off.